on.
Hello, hello. We are the semi-finals of our summer league tournament. Getting into draft already of Penultimate Prodigies versus Drunk Ultra Instinct. Hello, we are live with draft.
It is a pleasure to be here with you all this fine evening. I am, of course, if you've tuned into any of our streams before, you'll know me as Stella, and I'm here with the wonderful Isaiah.
Hello.
It is a three-person cast.
For now, I don't have to.
No, three-person cast is interesting. I wasn't sure whether it would have three-person cast, but I'm excited.
That is exactly the attitude you would expect from my one and only other co-caster, Ro.
Thank you very much, Stella, for completing, even though I interrupted you. Great to be here, of course.
Okay, and with
of course,
that...
you two, why don't you run us through, of course, as players of the Summer League, why don't you talk us a little bit through, what it is that we're looking at right now? What does this all mean? The semi-finals, sure. Says who?
Well, we have Prodigies. I don't know if they chose or they got taken to blue side, but Prodigies on the blue side and DUI on the right side.
DUI chose the red side. They won the coin.
Yeah. Fair enough. I'm a personal fan of blue, but first of all, to answer your question, Stella, DUI, strong early contender, I think, more so. I feel like they had, it felt like a grip over the league, and they kind of lost a bit in the middle and then had a strong finish. So a bit interesting to see where they'll ended up. But Prodigies has definitely felt like they had a really rough start. They were taking one win and 2 losses in all of their early series, but they couldn't seem to get a victory. But that changed the last few of their series. They started actually taking out 2-1 and then 2 0s in the end. So it felt like they were scaling over time. So coming into this, especially 2-0 in their quarterfinal victory, definitely looking stronger than ever. And I'm excited to see if they can keep that up. But we have a draft in front of us, so we can perhaps talk a little bit about what's happening there.
Yeah, very interesting here with the Amumu pick here for the Penultimate Prodigies.
They've been leaning towards the Amumu pick a lot recently. The Amumu support.
Yeah. My understanding is their head coach, or perhaps solo coach, Joe, is a big fan of the Amumu Seraphine maneuvers.
Actually, something very interesting here is Vi has been locked. For blue side, I don't think I've seen Captain Tofu lock in Vi yet in this tournament. But as you said, Amumu a specialty of the Captain Tofu and Zarume Callisto. I called it out when I was casting the game last week, the final game of the round robin. I really like the Zarume Callisto. He gets a good amount of leads in the early game and provides a really needed second point of strength, right? Of course, Captain Tofu offering a lot, but Captain Tofu often just leaves Zarume completely alone, and Zarume is able to get solo kills, is able to have prio for him, and it's quite astounding. So really like to see that. Meanwhile, it's actually the Kindred lock-in, and this is Thandy, one of their specialties, but certainly a bit of a gauntlet throw against a very proficient and early game focused jungler with Captain Tofu.
Yeah, and of course, a pretty comfortable pick here for their top laner. I'm sure Feng Shui Masters is not at all upset about getting to play Yorick.
That is true. Early Yorick lock-in. Pretty confident from Feng Shui there. Top lane, of course, we know Pantheon and Aurora are almost certainly going to come through.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly simplifies the draft a little bit if you know who your 4th and 5th picks are going to be.
Yep. Sivir is actually the choice. Red side. Interesting there.
Yeah, in comes the Aurora and the Pantheon, as predicted.
Sivir Yuumi, a bit of a classic, but definitely a bit weak, especially into that Callista. So I've already said the Zarume Callista gets a lot of early leads, and Sivir Yuumi is rife to just get double killed, even just by Callista herself, not even forgetting that there's a Mumu there as well to help out. So I would keep my eye on Zarume in that bottom lane, going to be a really big part of this game. And then, of course, the jungle matchup, the Kindred gauntlet throw into the early game Prodigy of Captain Tofu.
Yeah, I would absolutely be really scared here. If I was in the bot lane, you've got a very limited set of tools to defend yourself from a hungry Amumu and a Vi.
Meanwhile, elsewhere, that Yorick, of course, you called it out, going to be very important. If Feng Shui can get away with the game, just starts taking that Pantheon down, maybe they're going to have to invest Vi, Varora, multiple people into taking the Yorick down when they don't want to, when they want to be focusing on that Siva who might struggle into the Amumu and the Vi running straight at her.
Absolutely, and there's a mental tax that comes from constantly having to keep tabs on where that Yorick is. Is he going for my tier 1? Crap, he's on my bot lane tier 2. Constantly having to be ready to respond to someone who's just looking to hit his way to your nexus.
I think the most tame lane, definitely the mid lane. Not too much early power. Level 6 is where it's going to get a little bit crazy there. Of course, the thing I'm really interested to see, Captain Tofu is really interesting to me. Sometimes gets very, very active on the level 1s and equal amount of the time, 50-50. He just does absolutely nothing to have a standard fan. It can really make you feel like that something's going to happen and nothing happens. You're like, wait, is it really nothing happening? Is there some funny business going on? So I really like that. So we'll see which one he does opt to go through for this game.
Surely that is not a 2-minute and 30-second spectator delay I've just laid my eyes on.
That is how it works, unfortunately, Stella. 3-minute for spectator delay. We are not immune to the laws
back in
of
my day.
spectator.
Back in my day was 1 minute. Is this where we're pulling up Captain
What do you mean
Tofu's
back
stream?
in your day? I don't remember this.
Back in my day, like 3 months ago.
What?
Alright, that's it.
Alright.
I'm tapping into Tofu's stream. Everybody else can just close their eyes and imagine.
We're going to be 3 minutes behind the whole time, Stella. If we're tapping into Tofu's stream, then we'd have to do it for the whole thing. Otherwise, you have to
You're
catch
just
up.
mad you don't know that. You don't know it's pizza delivery Siva.
You got me.
Right? Like, think about that. Like, just think about that, right?
They did actually have an interesting change recently. Guilt is putting in for the support, as the previous support had to do other things. I don't know the exact thing, but Guilt, I believe, at least equal or maybe even potentially an upgrade in terms of just pure ranking. But not too much time with the team yet, but we'll see how they go. The pedals to the metal, we're wrapping up the tournament, so it is important. And Thandy, speaking of new additions that may or may not be upgrades, Thandy, of course, coming in for Vinrar, and
very late
is
substitution as well.
Yep.
Not much time to gel with the team.
Is also another late substitute and was originally a jungle main with the Kindred, with the Lilia. So potentially able to gel quite well and do a lot for this team, but it has to be seen. There could not be a more important time to show how much you can provide for your team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, only the semi-finals, only a chance for that first place spot. 50 New Zealand dollars worth of RP in your league account. What would you do? What on earth? What would you buy with that? I don't even know where I'd start with that much RP. Pizza delivery Siva.
There was actually a skin I wanted, I think, but I don't remember anymore. I think I would just I would let it sit in my account and slowly accrue TFT battle passes personally.
There.
Yeah. Can I get that in a long-term index fund?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where all my RP goes personally.
Got very passive summer spells from Yumi. No ignite, heal, exhaust. They're not looking to fight this Callista.
Exactly. I mean, this cleanse on Sivir is kind of crazy. If you're having to cleanse something, then
you're done.
The point is, I think you want barrier. You're trying to like live. So
you cleanse the first Amumu Q, you get hit by the second Amumu Q.
Well, the thing is, you just want to be spell shielding, right? Like, There's not that much to spell shield. Like there's like a Vi ultimate and Pantheon W and like a Mumu Q and R. But if you're running cleanse so that a Mumu Q's onto you, you spell shield it, the Mumu goes onto you and then ults and then you cleanse. Like just don't get hit by the Mumu Q kind of thing. Yeah. We'll see how we go, but that's a lot of combat power missing from an already vulnerable lane. So I'm very, very scared for them on bot lane.
Got some early pings, everyone pathing to topside by the looks of it. We might see some shenanigans.
This is what I was talking about with Captain Tofu. More than willing to get crazy in the early game, especially with the Pantheon W backing them up. And it looks like we might get a lot of people meeting.
Oh. Onto the Ari he goes. There's a free pick.
Pantheon W not even used, and Yorick W used to try and delay them a bit, but I was already talking about how I'm scared for the bottom lane. No summoners down except for that exhaust, and 2 kills to start off this Callista. Probably something like a boot dagger or double dagger even, and it was already scary. I'm a little bit more scared now.
No flashes used by either team.
Yeah, they especially certainly Ari definitely was just instantly dead, but Kindred choosing maybe or pre-leveled the W, right? If you'd level Q and then use the flash, almost certainly alive, but
yeah,
no Q utilized and no flash, just decides to die. And
certainly shaking up the dynamic here in the bot lane.
Both junglers
I unfortunately starting Q. But that's not the end of the world. And here it is. They already camped out in this bush. Yumiko will connect. Some damage even going down from Pantheon.
Oh, hits the charm early.
Okay. Also, Ari leveled charm in response to that invade, it seems, but unfortunately could not save herself. They are getting the push on bottom side. The charm, is that a second one?
Great damage here, yeah.
Oh, but the trade back. Oh my days. Yeah. Kind of huge. They do have push on bottom lane, they do have push on mid, push in all 3 lanes really. Who are able to get level 2 first. Basically, probably off the back purely off of the army having charm rather than anything else, even though she was landing all of them. Pantheon taking a free tower shot, definitely not what he would like, but not the end of the world either. And it's going to be quite a slow one. Vi having a very slow first camp clear and also not making any aggressive moves with the prios will just mean that Kindred and Vi will probably just farm up a storm to start this off. Might be level 6 on Vi where we start to get some real action. But as I've said, really do expect bottom lane to have some crazy stuff going on sooner rather than later.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of them clearing up to the top lane, though. I would like to see a little bit of action up there. Certainly, I mean, Tofu wants to give the advantage to his Pantheon. Mukasa, very interesting player. If you give him that lead, he sometimes really is able to capitalize on it, but he can really struggle if he's put behind. So I would want to keep an eye on what's happening up here if I were Tofu.
Ooh, it's actually a miss.
Lane gang. Flashes for flashes.
Very interesting. Feng Shui scared enough to flash there. Was not in too much danger, but does get the trade of flashes. Pantheon bailed out a bit. And the mark on top side, Kindred, even though Vi has done a very slow clear, Kindred not able to get the mark at 330. We'll just give it up, which is quite unfortunate for her. And so we have still not too much going on. We've got the 2 kills at the start, and there's even a freeze going on. They're trying to make something of this aggressive matchup in the bottom lane, but I think they can just be far more forward than they are. This Kindred here to chunk out the Amumu a bit, and Siva will get her wave in. Very good stuff for the red team. They have to be quite happy with that outcome. Kindred and Siva both taking their recalls. Yorick TP'd back actually after that Vi gank. Pantheon will have that TP advantage up. We'll see if he can do anything with it, but that is yet to be seen. Actually, some nice little
Roll
trades, and the
80s
Yorkie
made.
missing. I'll be feeling pretty good with your Pantheon for now. Little trades. He does land, which will be big damage coming through. The damage is coming back onto Yorick as well. By nowhere in the vicinity though. Neither is Kindred though. One Yorkie will prove lethal here though. Ooh. Not to be yet. Siva able to get the push in. Very important moment for there as well. Kindred, Kalista might be able to hold the wave. Doesn't look like she's opting to do that though. And Pantheon with that TP advantage.
Oh, gets hit by the.
Ooh.
Live,
Could
he's
be a
live.
solo
Maybe I
kill
was
angle.
thinking, yeah.
It could be. Pantheon definitely had an angle there to get the kill going, but not to be. Ari somehow finding herself in tower range. I don't even know what's
Yeah.
happened.
We're putting
and
pressure on.
Actually doesn't have the ultimate. Used the Ari ultimate for something. And he's gonna get forced off. Pantheon choosing
Ooh,
not to recall, and it's the Vi gang coming through.
Oh,
The
beautiful.
last hit. And that's 3 kills for the Feat of Warfare as well. We'll get Pantheon in. No TP on the Yorick as already mentioned. And the Pantheon actually even on CS with that Yorick.
I did get that kill on the top side. They did have to sacrifice the first dragon for that, after they pushed in the wave in the bottom, so still relatively even for both teams. Even though there is a
Yeah,
gold.
impressive work there. Mukasa known to struggle a little bit sometimes with keeping toe-to-toe on CS.
Yeah.
Got some interaction on the
And
gods here.
oh, yeah, just a quick one and done. Steals away. Oh, I think actually no. It was Vi coming up to it because she didn't got the one. Oh, maybe it doesn't show
Oh,
actually.
it doesn't show on
Anyway,
spectator.
either way, something of
It's
note.
2-1.
2-1, yeah, up the top.
Oh, yeah, still way. Something of note, Captain Tofu again prioritizing towards that Pantheon. Actually, a Mumu is going to go onto this this Kindred who just dings level 6. Will use it straight away, but there's no ultimate or flash on the Ari. Kindred flashing away, but Ari not so lucky. Nothing to her name. Will be slowly ordered down by Mr. Kromora. Fighting it down on the bot lane as well.
Pantheon
TP comes through from Pantheon. Yep.
Yeah, a lot of ultimates used there for that fight by the Penultimate Prodigies. Of course, that Vi ultimate coming out to start the engage, immediately followed up by the Aurora ultimate. So, like you said, really great timing there on that Kindred hitting 6, being able to drop that down.
Yorick going for a
They're
heavy
trying to be
trade with the
aggressive.
Maiden. Taking so much
And this
damage.
is a Pantheon that just TP back, by the way, so not feeling great to TP back and just get your health chunked and be at health at disadvantage like this. Oh, and there's the ghouls again.
Yeah, and I mean, Vi's on the other side of the map. It's not like you've got reinforcements on their way anytime soon.
And
Yeah, a bit of a roughie.
Yorick's coming
Big
back
trade
up
on
his
Siva here.
flash. Could look for a tower dive.
And there's a lot of damage on top tier 2 for 8 minutes. 3 platings gone. Progressing very steadily towards a first tower in the future.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was sort of worried about at the start of the game. Feng Shui Masters, he gets into his rhythm, and I mean, your towers just start falling. And especially if you want those feats of strength. First epic monster and 3 kills down. Could go either way.
Yeah.
And Feng Shui is hungry for that first tower.
Another one of Kindred's marks being absorbed by Vi. I mean, we're seeing it
Kindred
one
playing
stack still.
Yeah, very slow game for Kindred in terms of that aggressiveness. Only time you've really seen not on accounts in that river, getting him engaged on by an Amumu. Not exactly where you want to be. Aurora getting hit by a lot of these charms, but always seems to end up the victor of the trade. Even just gets an Ari ultimate for no particular reason. So she'll be very happy to have that burned.
Oh, Amumu going on the Yumi. Caught
Yeah,
warding.
but she's gonna have no way
There
out.
we go.
Well,
Speaking of no
Adam-
Orioles,
Pushing
man.
mid lane. Ooh.
Yep.
That's a 6-0 lead. For
Yeah.
In comes the Amumu Q.
Oh,
Spell
forces the
shield
flash.
and a flash. And if we didn't have enough action, Pantheon in the top lane. They're going for the dive. Oh my goodness.
Oh, and Vi's here.
Stressing me
flashes.
out. So fast. Their Vi moves.
Yeah.
The
and
Aurora as well.
they do take out Pantheon, but 2 for 1 with a good read by Tofu in the penultimate Prodigies to move up before the fight even, the gank even happens on Pantheon.
Pink Troy tried to get his team back into the game by making a play and got punished.
As you said, it fell out of the groove. No longer just going for the tower, must take the life as well. And this Callisto is definitely killing the Sivir. Make no mistake, this guy is dead.
There's a hunger I can smell.
I
In the
don't know why
bush.
Callisto hasn't done it
How she
yet. Yeah,
jumps.
eventually did it. Took quite a while.
Where's the
that
Amumu
guy-
in? Amumu taking tower shot after tower shot, flashes out, is still gonna die.
It's a very awkward execution, make no mistake. But in the end, it is a dead Sivir in exchange for a dead Amumu, which is something you always take. You have to be pretty happy about. And the kill also not going to Sivir, going to Yuumi instead. So had to feel pretty good about that one. Sivir will probably be able to catch most of this upcoming wave. And it looks like the grubs are being taken right now. Smite up for this Kindred, so we'll just take it. And our first tower also falling, so they do lose out on bottom side, and they do get one dragon to their name, but I have to feel like this is going quite well for DUI.
Yeah, absolutely. With those feats of strength, you know. Be very comfortable to have my booties upgraded.
Exquisite quality boots, feeling nice on your feet.
Oh yeah.
And
I
actually
can walk
moving
from Nexus
straight
to Nexus
in.
on those.
Perfect feed already.
There's no flash. There's
And
no.
in comes Amumu, just missing the ultimate.
Oh.
Oh, the fight on the top side too. Catches Yorick
Yeah,
on the
but-
drop.
Ooh. Yeah, there goes Yuumi as well. And that's what I talked about a little bit, kind of having to go answer this Yorick, but if it's that easy, you just send Aurora over, she's able to just immediately kill the person and call it a day, then you're probably feeling pretty good about it. As actually there's no Qs left on this Kindred. It's going to be a close one, this fight. No mana left on Pantheon. And there's the Kindred ult as well, but
Everything's
miraculously
going
there's
wide.
no one dead.
I can't believe it.
They get out for free.
On the edge of their lives.
This could be 12-4 right now, but it's 12-2 instead.
It had to feel pretty good that no one died in that exchange. It was looking quite close, so no one dying, quite amazing. And actually recalling on a
Here comes
ward
a hungry
without
guy.
ultimate or flash, and just ultimate gonna come through. Yep,
Securing the
Boom.
kill.
that's another one for the Vi, and Sivir being not let
Building
back into
lethality
lane.
Vi as well, important to note. So Tofu does want these kills.
Unfortunately, that item does not give lethality anymore, but I understand the confusion.
Back in my day. Hell nah. That's why they don't pay me.
That's why they
I
don't
know what I'm
pay me.
saying.
Oh my days. This will be this Yorick falling down slowly, and Maiden going on a 3-minute cooldown, by the way, as well. Summoned that one up to put pressure on top lane, immediately just gets killed, not even by 140 seconds with cooldown reduction, my apologies.
Back in my day, it used
2
to be
minutes
3
20.
It is! I think it's 160 base cooldown, I could be wrong. I literally don't know. But I generalized to 3 minutes, sue me.
Season 15, man. Season
Yeah,
15.
yeah. It's not looking good. You definitely have a lot of scaling, like as Stella's said. Yorick's going to be a nightmare on side, but despite being a nightmare enough at the beginning, right? We've gone to the second tier tower, and Aurora's moved over, instantly killed him, and Vi's moved over and instantly killed him. So can't be feeling too bad about this. Oh, it's actually trapped in there.
A tower
Speeding
shot.
away, but the cooldown's going to come back. There's an
Yeah,
Aurora
we
coming.
took-
Speaking of, here's the gang
Vi's walking up
ready to
there.
come support.
Can you get it in time?
He turns around. Oh my goodness! And out comes the ultimate.
Oh,
The cage is gonna miss.
Oh no!
Can't believe it. Aurora's done it.
And this is precisely what I'm talking about. Yorick is just getting himself killed instead of being a side lane menace. And you have to value life a little bit more than this if you want to actually output that pressure.
Feng Shui deviating away from, what he's comfortable with.
Oh, the flash dodges. But still just falls.
They pick up this Kindred as well. Ooh, potentially a scary charm there, but no problem for the Vi.
And man, 5-0 Aurora, 5-0 Vi, 5-0 Callista. Not what you want to be seeing when you press tab.
Yeah, certainly a scary position to be in if you're Dewey. Should we be referring to them as Dewey?
What was the adjective you're choosing to use?
D-U-I, Dewey.
Oh, Dewey. Yeah, we
I don't
can
know
go
if
with
that
Dewey.
works. Well, well, they certainly might have some Dewey eyes if the game continues the way it's going.
Yeah, Dewey. Oh, actually, this does not look good. That's a low tower as well. So Siva's gonna retreat down towards that. A lot of cooldowns immediately getting expended. But look, Callista still just living. Doesn't actually use the Ren, so will just not brunt the damage of 8 spears or so. Which is gonna mean that Siva's quite healthier than she otherwise could be. But in the end, they spend 2 summoner spells, 2 ultimates, and trade fairly evenly, really.
Yeah, I would be really pleased with that. If I was the Siva.
They are starting up this Ritail. No Pantheon in sight, but Pantheon Ultimate to come.
And actually,
Aurora just
Aurora's
trading.
probably a little more comfortable to move.
Big damage coming through.
Yark does know.
Pantheon is here and won't even need the ultimate in order to support this attack on the Yorick, and Aurora taking up the other way, just instantly killed.
It's simply a game of numbers. Once again, Yark finds himself in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Kindred getting pushed off his stack, still sitting at 3 at the moment.
Yeah, 4 is the magic number. So, very, very weak Kindred without that. That is for sure. This will be the
17 minutes,
double
I would
charge.
certainly be antsy.
Double charge will connect. A lot of damage onto the second mid lane tower.
They're creating some wonderful space here for themselves, which they'll surely want when Atakan comes calling.
It's interesting. You mentioned that stacks right only at 3, and I immediately said yes. Not having that 4 stack, a big deal. Honestly speaking, you could see it as an upside. Having 3 stacks in a game like this, it really could be worse. And so you hit that 4 stack on the Kindred, you get Sivir to that 3 item. 2 item Sivir is certainly not bad, but you really want to be hitting that 3, 4, 5 item to really have a monster of a Sivir. But for now, we can say we hit the 2 items on the Kindred, the Sivir, we hit 4 stacks Kindred, and then maybe we can do something with our team fight. But of course, it is a crushing advantage they're currently on, and no spell shield coming through on anything.
Oh my goodness.
The spell shield goes down at the last moment. It's a disaster.
Just tied up there by that Amumu.
Yeah, and that's both of them falling down. The classic problem with Yuumi, you have your host murdered, and boom, that's 2 kills for the side of blue side. No resistance to taking the tier 2 top tower, and is the camp on the Pantheon. Mark on him as well. Flash is available, but I don't see how it... Oh!
That's his thing to Yara.
My god.
Doesn't get away.
That's not what Pantheon was hoping to do.
I applaud it, honestly. It's pretty based, but yeah, it does just go straight into the other member, and a tower unfortunately just falls in front of his face, and eventually he dies. But I respect the balls. Still 19 kill lead, but despite 16 kill lead, my apologies, but despite 16 kills ahead. Only 7k gold difference here. Really, again, the small things, but really could be worse. With what the kill score is trying to tell you. So one big fight for Dewey. It could really just instantly just get that gold bleed. You take a few of the shutdowns, you get like a 3k, 4k swing. That's almost back to even. So all it takes is one particular stuff up. Captain Tofu found out, a Zarume not positioned well, or tower diving at a bad time. But we'll see exactly if they can get something like that. As right now, Atakan is the major objective on the plate.
Collect from this Yorick.
Yeah. We can see these two teams moving up now.
By using the
Ultimate Prodigies certainly with better vision of the area. But not enough vision
Oh
to
my
just
days! And it looks so good. It looks like Captain Tofu can fall, but unfortunately, so much gold ahead has two items to the one on the entire side of Dewey. And 2 items is enough to have a Sundered Sky Adventure healing up humongous amounts. And they just can't take him down before the follow-up comes through. And that's Voracious Atakan reses up for the whole of blue team for quite some time. Mountain Dragon will come up soon, but you can only imagine that they're going to be able to push for an inhib easily with those reses and the amount of sheer gold value. 2 items again to everyone else's 1 item on Dewey. That's a lot of extra stats.
And for a team that has that much engage of an Amumu, a Pantheon, and a Vi, they're going to use those GAs very easily. They're going to look for this aggressive fight on this dragon. They have no problem finding it.
Aggressive fight indeed, and with no fear. Get straight back on the map, not give over those shutdowns. The classic Atakan maneuver. Doesn't look like anything too aggressive is happening yet. Sivir actually positioning to push with Yorick here. Goes by Pantheon. Doesn't spot each other. And they will be positioned up to kill that Pantheon. Looks like they're seeing on board now, but Sivir sticking around there, choosing to try and trade him. Yeah.
It looks like in the meantime, Penultimate Prodigies in the pit on that dragon.
Yeah, and Sivir actually does quite a lot of time investment to walk there and then not choose to try and kill Pantheon. I find very, very curious. I don't know exactly what the original plan was, but evidently didn't want to stick around. The fear of having a Vi or the like collapse on them, but just no one was around to actually punish them.
Both of them need to use going wide while they look for that mid tower dive. Could have been a dead Sivir on our screen very easily with those GAs. Oh, looking for the 1v1, no one else is near.
Yeah, and we'll get it.
Aged
and
up
probably
the Pantheon.
we'll trigger the resurrection.
Triggered.
But we'll just be able to respawn and defend top, curiously enough. And so
when you look at what's happening in the bot lane.
Won't be able to get anything going there too much.
Not gonna grab the first inhibitor, but certainly a scary position to be in. Oh my goodness, Vi turning around immediately. Great flash there from the Ahri.
Yeah, and huge amount of damage taken down onto her. She is recalling on vision. This is not going to end well for her because Vi is going to pretend that there's no sight, but of course there is. And Pantheon actually ulting back to try and answer with this, but has let it go on for a bit too long. And it will just be the tower falling down there. And not exactly the trade you want to make. Trading 2 inhibitor towers when you have Atakan buff, when you have this huge lead, trading evenly is not a good sign of how the game is being managed. And it looks like the Maiden will survive for today. Managed to get back home. But
yeah, interesting.
Despite the Scarf being 0-7, he's still got a bit of an XP lead and is now on his 2nd item, pushing towards his 3rd. He's still a threat in this game. If they take one bad team fight, Yorick could still look to end this game himself.
It's true. It's
Yeah,
true.
absolutely. There's now a mental pressure that's been created. Oh God, where's the Yorick? Is he in my base?
There
Does he
is
have
that
PP
pressure.
up? Is he about to be in my base?
Oh, Mumu maybe has an angle here, depending on what Sivir does. Doesn't look like anything too much is going to happen. Actually, top tower is what it appears to be being focused on right now. Ari probably not able to defend this one. Will be stunned up and almost certainly just instantly killed. Exhaust coming down. Lots of damage. The Sivir damage going absolutely mental. And this is what we're talking about. There is the AoE all just coming down, rain down. Both of the carries gone. 2 shutdowns. And they're maybe going to be able to get a Mumu for their troubles as well, as he's going to bandage toss to the Scuttle Crab to safety, because Avi's going to be able to... It's actually Baron Nashor started up immediately, and Vi's still alive. No flash, however. This will be a hard one for Tofu to really impact. It might just give it up, and it will just be Baron Nashor going over objective gold, Baron Nashor gold, and there is
a team down 19 kills.
Yeah, and as we said, all it takes is a little bit of a stuff up. They get a little, they bite off a little bit more than they can chew, and Sivir ricochets go through 5 people, just bing, 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 never stopping. Huge damage.
Absolute weed whacker.
Now all they have to do is really go for that again, and it really looks so good. But this is a Yorick who's almost certainly going to be feeling the hurt in the moment.
Coming from the side though.
Sivir is coming from the side, but
not coming
too late. It's just way too hard to escape once that Vi's gotten such a perfect start to the fight onto you. And maybe it is just the dragon that will fall, and that will be the end of it. But
oh, they're looking for a collapse on mid potentially. They can catch up to Sivir.
No flash on Sivir, but of course Spell Shield will be available.
I'll just be looking to play for the dragon.
Looks like she's got wind of something. But yeah, it's so interesting to look at the kills in this game up against the objectives, right? You'd think for a team that was down 20 kills, you know, they would be truly on their last legs, but I mean, we've got 2 dragons, 4 grubs, just took Baron.
Yeah, it kind of just goes back to what I was saying, like it truly could be worse, and I was saying that for a long time, and the kill score makes it look really bad, but they just won a huge team fight and got Baron Nashor, despite the very funny kill score. And it looks like Pantheon will be the target yet again, but the ultimate will just get him out of there before anything can happen, but he's ulted on Vision, they know where he is.
Sivir's sniffing him out.
And he will just get
He's just
caught
gonna
out.
take it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not his ultimate isn't as stealthy as he would perhaps like. It does show where he's ulting
emergency TP to mid tower. Not quite sure what that was for. Perhaps they're looking for something aggressive here?
Yeah, I don't think anything will come of it. The Baron Nashor recall's still just going... Oh my god, hold on.
Oh!
Wait a minute!
Ari cancels and so will be the sacrificial lamb.
Had to be
but very close to having Kindred fall down as well.
That was not something I saw coming. And perhaps neither did that Ari.
We've got Vi here, level 17. The highest level in the game. Very big.
Yeah.
Approaching her 4th item. 8 kills, 700 gold bounty. Only person yet to die this game. We do have the Sivir on 3 items now. She is a real big threat. She's even items with the Callista.
Yeah, we said that we saw that she could be a threat even on the 2 items, or even before the 2 items. As of that team fight, now 3 item Infinity Edge, huge power spike. It's really going to be important. They got Zarume and Mystic Remor to start the last fight. 2 of basically the perfect targets, exactly who you want to kill. But if they can't do that right at the beginning, again, if Valorium falls down as the first member, heaven forbid, it'll probably just be lights out right then and there.
Absolutely.
There will
Man,
be an
look at this.
engage here.
Looks like it's going to be one and done here for Yark.
Yep. And not much
Taken
he
out.
can do without Flash, that's for sure. Let alone, even if he had Flash, the cease and desist from Vi is still available. So, as that would be a Kindred
and
walking
here
into
goes
the
Kindred.
Pantheon.
Not
There's an
exactly
Ari as
close
well.
to the Pantheon as you would like to be. Kissing distance, but
Or coming back to hold that lane, but they will just be recalling in it. No worries there, as they're taking up aggressive posture. Thought maybe they were going to try and go long, but won't try and go towards them. They know that they've already taken their resets. And it's
mean,
a slow
take a look-
game.
we take a look at this gold lead, which has certainly started to shrink here from
Mhm.
what once was 7K24. And of course, that's in no small part due to the CSing on Dewey, I believe. Feng Shui Masters is 50-60 CS ahead of Mukasa, and there's a discrepancy in that mid lane as well. So Dewey are, taking their time farming up, and so despite being down on kills, putting in the work to bring themselves back into it.
Yeah, and no matter how bad it looks, certainly they're not doing nothing with their time. Yeah, it's not exactly rocket science, but they are just bullying this Pantheon. Okay, we can't do anything. Okay, we're going off the Pantheon again. We're gonna go and get our side waves and kill him again, this type of thing. And that builds up those CS leads, and it builds up the little incremental gold. As Amumu's gonna be engaged on here, and no Callisto ultimate to save him, and Callisto
Wow,
will
didn't
just be
flash the
instantly
Vi.
killed again, and Aurora is able to potentially follow up on this one. Huge damage coming down, Sivir falling, and the Kindred ult not there to save her in time. Vaiku is going to hit right after the Kindred ult falls, and there will be a 1k holding onto Yorik's head, but in the end, Mumu falls down, had no reason to die, had the Callisto ultimate, and then Callisto moving very close to that Mumu and just immediately getting followed up before the fight even really got started. They managed to turn it around with the Vi ultimate and by killing the Sivir very fast, but in the end it is a 3-for-2, or 3-for-3 I believe actually.
And interestingly, here comes a pause. We don't have any chrono breaks, so let's just hope somebody needs to get a drink of water.
And it's looking close. There is the Dragon Soul coming up. That is still going to be an important part, and getting a Mountain Soul you'll feel pretty nice, but it truly is not decided who will be taking the victory. Here, you can see there's a Vi and Pantheon recalling. You could even have Yorick just take Baron Nashor right now. That is something you could do. Yes, it's certainly a bit ambitious, but nonetheless, it is an option. And it's this type of thing. Yorick just pressuring sides. The Baron Nashor who's going to get it. Both teams could easily take it with very little difficulty. And then just one team fight is all it's going to take 32 minutes into the game to just allow you to immediately go and end the game. So it's by no means decided here. Everything matters.
Yeah, but I'm getting here here in the studio on my earpiece that we've had to take a break because apparently Valorium is sick. So we send our best wishes here from the desk. I hope he just needs a quick breath of fresh air.
Yeah, not ideal. Hopefully he's feeling okay. Hopefully we don't have any major complications. Hopefully it's just he can bounce back, but I guess we will see, won't we?
Absolutely. I mean, I would be stressed to the teeth if I were him. I mean, we see the fights that Valorium has been the star of. The past couple, I certainly would need to take a lap if I had that much expected of me.
Amazing. All right. I think the main thing for me that has been interesting and to keep an eye on is that the Callista Ultimate and the Amumu have not been nearly as valuable as they could have been. A lot of the time, the Amumu has just been following up on those Vi Ultimates, which is great, gets the CC down, but if we see an Amumu engage at any point, I think it will be very powerful, and so keep an eye on the little guy. If he does actually manage to find one of those carries early, we saw the Sivir just getting locked down, not able to spell shield anything in the CC chain. Look out for that, because that could be very, very big, especially around a Baron or something of the like.
Yeah, I most certainly would like to see a fastball special. Toss that Amumu right in the middle of the enemy team. Drop him like a bomb. Yeah, very interesting. Perhaps I'll ask a question. Due to my limited knowledge of Vi builds in this new season, she's got an unending despair. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
I believe it's not stock standard as a core item in Vi. It is relatively a general item at the moment, as it gives health, armor, and magic resist, and ability haste. All stuff that any character who goes into a team fight would want.
Absolutely.
He's probably just spent enough that he has enough gold to buy it. It's just a good general item, although he hasn't really got any use out of it yet with only 68 healing. But and in these team fights,
68
it's not...
healing.
68
oh
healing.
Hell nah.
It needs one more at least, but
250% of the damage dealt. Ooh.
It's only been one team fight, and he was kind of in it and then left. So at least he got out. Let him survive.
That's true. And when you think about the healing effectively done by the fact that, you know, that armor and MR meant that he wasn't taking that damage in the first place, you know? We can never truly say.
Definitely an intriguing line of inquiry.
That's what they keep me around for, my friend.
That's what they keep me around for.
That's what they let me out of the box for.
They can't contain my silliness.
They can't contain my silliness. But they can contain me. And only let my silliness out at pre-approved times.
Oh, okay. Apparently they can contain your silliness. They just don't approve it. What do you do then?
Well, I can be silly within the box. I have permission. It's not like they can stop me from being silly. They can just they can just confine my silliness.
You can't be like, they can't contain my silliness, and then be like, well, they can't contain my silliness, but they can confine it. Like that's not.
They're containing me.
Oh,
Oh,
movement at the
back.
Station. And speaking of movement station, that's a Yorick obliterating a Nexus tower, and then an inhib to come, will not get that far, as he has just walked straight into an Amumu. And this happens sometimes. Not to worry. I think it's because of the pause. I wouldn't worry too much. You can backspace it and then speed it up a bit. Try it so I'd see how that works.
Yeah, can we get a replay on that tower take? Oh, beautiful.
Okay,
yeah,
there we go.
One more time for the fans.
There it is. So, back to business. Yorick actually dead for 40 seconds with a Baron Nashor on the table and a soul coming up. Not a great time to be falling down, but does die at the same time as taking that Nexus tower, not a Nexus, inhibitor tower. Have to feel pretty good about that. Almost 3 open inhibitors, just 2 for now, but quite nice. Charm comes down, they know where Ari is, could go for something quite aggressive, but we'll just go straight onto that dragon with the numbers advantage. No TP from Yorick. And it looks like they're moving to contest. Don't want to give soul, but can they actually contest? Let's see. Callista unable to move over that wall. Aurora also playing over the wall, and they will just get the soul, and without any hubbub.
Yeah, without Feng Shui, who's just come back online in time perhaps to stop TPP from doing anything crazy with the Baron.
And straight to the Baron Nashor. They do have Yorick only just respawn, not pressuring the sides yet. Callista great at Baron Nashor takes, able to use the Ginsus and the spears to execute at very large thresholds. 2k, 2,000 or more.
Bot lane.
Pantheon
Great
W
chunk
does
from
get
the Ahri.
interrupted. Pantheon not giving it up, but I think he might have to because a lot of damage coming down from Ari. Still has the third Ari ult and will eventually take the kill. And big damage. Ultimate, they do manage to kill off Valorium before Kindred comes through, but it's not looking great. There's Aurora, huge damage, and Vi is still alive, doing so much as well. Yorick falling down soon. Aurora cooldown's gonna come up now. Watch this. Yep, there it is.
Vi
But
put
not
him on.
enough.
And here comes Callista.
And death time is 30 seconds, and Ari already in the base. I believe it's over.
Now this... I mean, TPP could not have been expecting this one. A great engage at the start of the fight. That Amumu ult came in, dropped the bomb, and like you said, I mean, they got the signal.
Well, the minions from mid. Kindred took the minions from mid, delayed another 5 seconds.
Kidnapped.
And they will be up. They will be up to defend, but it just won't be enough, I believe. It's so close, but no cigar. Pantheon W actually goes on the minion. The Mumu misses, and it will be the game falling. Absolute tragedy. Almost able to defend there, but instead it will be victory for Dewey.
Coming back from a 7,000 gold, at most 20 kill deficit, Drunk Ultra Instinct.
And
it speaks to the game, really. When you get to 35 minutes in, and those death timers, all of a sudden at 50 seconds, it comes down. Regardless of how far behind you are, if you let them take the game that long, when you've got your Yorick, when you've got your Kindred, when you've taken down half the bloody turrets on the map, if you can get that one solid fight, if you can just find that foothold.
Yeah, and it's heartbreaking for the Penultimate Prodigies in the driver's seat for so long. Got the soul, was fighting a 4 versus 5 in that jungle. Ari not even there, but unable to make it happen. As we saw, the gold lead slowly creeping back on them. That fight where Siva was able to rip through 5 people with the ricochets, that was all it took for the game to even out just a little bit. And Yorick slowly chipping away at the base, as you said. But Dewey able to have that strength of heart, keep in the game, get proactive stuff done, whatever they can get done, not give the game over. Even the Baron Asher take, that delayed a huge amount of time for them to scale up. So in the end, it's hard because if you're the Prodigies, you're like, man, that game couldn't have gone much better for us. What do we even take, right? What do we change? Do we change anything at all? Do we just run it back? The salty run back, the classic. But we'll see what they choose.
Relatively same bans, Swain bans and Zhao ban. Probably just gonna be the same thing as last time.
Yeah, absolutely. If I'm Penultimate Prodigies, I'm thinking 1 or 2 lines. Either I've got to get this game finished quicker, or I've got to be able to beat Drunk Ultra Instinct at their own game.
Yeah, and it really does come back to exactly what you said. You need to get the game done faster. If you're going to have that huge lead, if you're going to get that stuff done, what are you waiting for Soul for? Waiting for Siva to get all those items when you can have such crushing early game strength. Instead, the game goes long, and despite all of your advantages, despite everything, you lose one team fight and you're done for. Not where you want to be. You want to be pushing tempo, getting stuff done. And hopefully we can see more of that. As the Callista, I've gassed it up before and didn't have too bad a game in the last game. The Callista Ultimate not being used how I would like, but the early game prowess still going nicely for them, as Ari will be locked in exchange. Next up.
Yeah. Very interesting to see that the bans on Drunk Ultra Instinct, they've gone for the triple tofu. Penultimate Prodigy spreading these out a little bit, and like you mentioned, Thaddy, very scary on the Lilia. Interesting that they've decided that they would rather face the Kindred again.
And oh, he does go the Vi. I was gonna say the Lee Sin was what I was thinking might be what comes out with the Kindred locked early before Captain Tofu's pick, but Vi is instead the third attack, and Nautilus will be locked in exactly as you say. Siva, again, no surprise seeing that, especially with a Nautilus lock in. can spell shield that Nautilus ultimate, that Nautilus Q, but we'll see exactly if the Nautilus can provide more value than that Amumu was able to in the previous game. Maybe be a little more aggressive, maybe get stuff going, whereas Amumu seemed to struggle to be the first person in, getting picked off, only able to find the angles with the Vi first going, and then following up on the CC target. So Yorick does get banned away, not picked in the first 3 this time, very notably, was a first round lock-in for Dewey last time, but won't be getting it this game. And Yorick, we said, was a big part of their winning strategy, able to get early towers, keep them in the game a little bit. And Garen will be the answer, prepared
Very interesting.
for the Pantheon.
A little bit tight on AP damage for Drunk Ultra Instinct. I presume that's why Penultimate Prodigies banned the Yorick, banned the Maud. Wanted to force Feng Shui Masters onto an AD pick as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how the Garen goes. Definitely was taken out versus our team, and was able to dismantle us in the round robin stage. So no stranger to the Garen, and knew that the Pantheon was coming. Didn't want to take the Yorick into it this time, and probably had the Garen prepared as well. So I'm no doubt that they'll have a nice time with that matchup, and be quite a nuisance heading later into the game. But really, other than that, the Garen and the Yorick swap up, that's the only difference there. And I said before the game started, what do you change? Well, maybe you just change nothing. And basically what happened, Nautilus swapped out from Mumu, very similar ideas, slightly different execution, and then the Garen for the Yorick. But again, same exact playstyle, just perhaps a better matchup, or slightly more proficient. We'll see.
Yeah, very interesting that they've picked more or less the same thing again, like you said, going for the revenge, run it back. Only a little swap up. I'm interested to see what difference the Nautilus will make compared to the Amumu.
Yeah, it's definitely, in some ways it's easier, in some ways it's harder. But I think the main thing is that I think it's a bit easier to get something going with a Nautilus, just looking for hooks and the like, rather than a Mumu for bandage. So hopefully that'll get them more aggressive, able to get this Callista with the more oppressive early game, looking for kills, and then late game, more Nautilus hooks and Nautilus ultimates just onto Kindred or Ari, so that Vi doesn't have to be that first person finding the good angle, and then only then the follow-up comes through.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose it'll be interesting to see how they treat this Kindred again this time, because like you mentioned, 3 marks at 17 minutes wasn't the worst possible thing that could happen. But you gotta wonder, how much mental space do you dedicate towards trying to be on top of the marks, trying to keep up with that Kindred, and at what point do you decide it isn't worth all of that effort? Because when you do, when that Kindred starts collecting, I mean, we saw how that last game ended. They took down the Sivir in that team fight. But I mean, Yuumi on Kindred, just as scary.
Yeah, I would be interested to see if the Kindred ends up performing better this game. It was a very unaggressive, very passive Kindred play last time. Any amount of action from the Kindred usually ended up in Kindred's death. And then even just things like the 345 Scuttle Crab Kindred not being there, not wanting to contest it, and just giving up the mark. This type of thing makes me think this is a very slow Kindred play, right? Exactly as you say, playing for stuff like the 3-item Kindred 4 mark at 25 minutes or so, or even 30 minutes, just being a secondary AD carry, playing for that long game rather than any sort of early game stuff that Kindred definitely can do, but you also can fall back onto that marksman identity. But again, ending the game faster, as you said. If you're going to have a really slow Kindred play, if you're going to have Garen chipping at your towers, you're going to have Sivir Yuumi scaling to infinity but not having that strong early pressure, Need to get stuff done, make it snappy, get it going.
Yeah, you need a 25-minute game. Because that extra 10 minutes, like we saw, was completely the difference between Penultimate Prodigies running the show and, Drunk Ultra Instinct taking the Nexus.
Absolutely. And it really, you really do feel it. You the whole time you're like, yes, we're winning the game, and you die once at 35 minutes, and you're like, oh, okay, we died once, and then it's like, oh wait, we died once, and we lost.
Yeah.
And so that it feels nice to be the ones in control, right? But you just have to get it going, make some risks, get it fast, because if you make it fast, you can make mistakes. Like, yeah, you prefer not to, right? But if you make mistakes at 20 minutes, then oh well, not where you want to be, but maybe you can learn. Maybe you can be like, oh, we should play this way instead. If you make your first mistake at 35 minutes after playing it safe, you don't get to have a second go. So
Yeah.
want to see them be more aggressive. Nautilus hooks flying out, Nautilus ultimates flying out, the Callista bomb, as you put it. And again, we see early movement, but Dewey, learning from their first game, don't want anything to do with that, doing their best to avoid this invade.
Yeah, absolutely. You see them spread out. Look at that Kindred. Going for something a little greedy. Just having a sniff about, I assume. But here they are, positioning themselves in the bottom river. Both Garen and the Pantheon a little bit behind.
No hooks thrown out. Could have been a flash hook angle.
There's the double ward coming down, keeping track of the blue side. But looks like, as I said about the Tofu, right? It was the early invade. It wasn't anything after that, though. But as I said, he's not afraid to do this type of thing. I love to see it. Game 2, you're like, oh, he didn't invade me last game. It will be fine, right? And then there's just 3 people, a Callisto, Nautilus, and a Vi in your jungle as you're trying to do your blue buff, and suddenly you have to flash, right? It's exactly like this. Tofu just keeps you on your toes, and then he kind of lulls you into that false insecurity. You do it every single game, right? And it's like, oh, he's going to invade me, I'm going to do something about it. But if you do it every second game, as we see, it happens, you're like, oh, damn it. And it really hits you hard. So they have that ward on the red buff. They can see this Kindred. They'll know exactly what they have done. And Tofu will be able to make a choice about what they want to do with that. But similarly, Tofu walking back onto that red side ward, they also know exactly what he's done. And Kindred will just be able to farm more camps, then go for those leftover bottom side camps, whatever they want to do as well. So not really that big a deal if you're the Kindred, to be honest, despite it being your flash being burnt. Pretty even trades on top side. Ignite on Garen, though. So, a bit scary for the Pantheon, to be honest.
Garen's already regened up to above half health.
The Garen special. Both a god and a king.
Damage.
Of course, Tofu is in the area. Oh, very nice by the Aurora.
And Mystic Remora definitely feels like they have the better side of this matchup. They know what's going on. They know how to trade. Mouncy just kind of trying to make it work, but getting huge traded on. Nautilus doesn't actually go out. I was thinking that might be some aggression there for a moment, but will just be the freeze slowly building up. They're trying to deny here, and the hook does land. There is no spell shield yet, just the ricochet and the boomerang blade for Sivir. So spell shields not up means these Nautilus hook landing can convert into a kill quite easily. They should look quite aggressively here, I think, but there is level 3. As topside, Pantheon actually looks like they will be able to get this wave in. Despite how dicey it was looking a mere moments ago. As Aurora's going to move straight into a Kindred. Only level 3 on her though, and Aurora,
ooh, he's got
no W perhaps. Ooh. Yeah, no flash to follow ends up being a big deal as Vi has the flank onto the Kindred. It will be Aurora trading flash for Kindred's mark in this instance, and actually is moving towards the other scuttle. Doesn't know that there is no scuttle waiting there for them.
Yeah, very interesting position the mid laners have found themselves in.
Oh.
Mr. Gromora, she breaks out the teleport. Mouncy G's is down as well, though. So I suppose it's back to, I mean, throwing rocks at each other in the mid lane, as mages love to do.
This actually preserves the TP. Lose a full mini wave, I think, in order to preserve the TP. It's a bit of an interesting setup. They were looking. Oh, there's a big damage onto the Sivir. Oh, the Rend actually comes at the very last moment of spell shield. Gets spell shielded. Actually, look at this Garen. I think this is a potentially a very easy solo kill here. There is the flash available. Mikasa might also flash. Holds that cube. Oh, but it's not enough damage. Does go for it and does hit it, but unfortunately is not to be. Perhaps angling for another cube, but Kindred's coming up.
Possible turnaround here, Kindred. Yeah. Mikasi's hungry for it.
He's
just
hungry
misses.
for it, but far too hungry, as it will just be a Kindred onto him, able to slowly kill him off, as might be able to turn on Garen. Garen just walks straight in. Walks straight in, gives it over to Mikasa.
He was too hungry for
1-1.
Oh, Yumi off you!
Playing with our
Oh my goodness.
Oh no, you hate to see it. Yumi just feeds herself to the grinder, but unfortunately the hook goes wide and will not be punished. Will just be the still
I
just
don't
one
know
to
who
one.
I'm angrier at for that whole scenario, quite frankly. The detached Yumi or the missed hook.
Oh, we have quite a lot of damage coming down. Woof. No kill, but will guarantee that the grubs will be heading over to Captain Tofu. They do have Prior in the bottom lane, and they are sending over their Kindred to go take that dragon.
Aurora, great damage here. And she does just hit 6 as well.
Will just be the even trade of the dragon and the grubs. But I think Kalista and Nola should get involved here. I do think they can win that 3v2. And had they done that, would have stopped the dragon take, would have been able to get some kills in their pocket. Like, look at Sivir and Yumi's mana and Kindred's health, right? Like, not getting involved and just stopping this dragon is a huge deal as they try and influence this top lane matchup. But I really strongly believe that was a huge point, and missing that might cost them the game, straight up.
Yeah, no, they certainly would have had better reset timers. Up some components. I would not be surprised.
Actually,
Kindred here though, picking up the Krugs.
and that's all of Ari's mana.
Oh, great charm.
Didn't quite kill. Oof.
Kindred
Oh
sniffing
my
about.
god.
it.
There's some
Garen,
very close
hungry?
calls.
Ooh. Recall comes through. Yeah, and a bit of a trade here as Tofu is sniffing around in Thandy's top.
Nola's looking for a hook.
Junglers, they love to trade like that.
Does land the
Great
hook.
hook.
And the exhaust comes down as well, and the Kalista ultimate, and a very low the
And a big Garen in the top lane. Oh my god.
Oh my days, it's close, but in the end what it is both summons down from Yumi, a pretty low Sivir but not dead, and a Nola's just dinging 6 now. Kindred, if they showed on mid wave, they could look to be quite aggressive, but we'll just let Sivir and you pick up this bottom wave. No worries, as this isn't the mark on the chickens. Oh, there's Ari potentially moving into a very strong Aurora. Has the Aurora ultimate.
Here comes.
Will just be Aurora W being consumed to get her out of there. But no ultimate on this Ari. I do think this Aurora might end up having a solo kill in our near future.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a character that, I mean, Juniper is so comfortable on, and like you mentioned earlier, she seems really comfortable in this matchup against this Ari, so...
Ari actually taking the recall. Might not get that prophesized kill. As Ari will just leave and teleport back in mere moments. I am hanging around the top side. Could easily kill this Garen here.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see. Unlike last game, it's taking a little longer for these feats of strength to start. You know, looking like they'll be activated.
Yeah, Feat of Warfare perhaps coming in soon, for sure. Of course, the real question is where those objectives will go and the first tower. And unlike the Yorick game where there was a almost dead top tower at 9 minutes, the Garen is not nearly as oppressive, it seems, in getting that Pantheon where it hurts.
Yeah.
This trade actually might go quite well for Pantheon after the Empower Q comes through. Will it land? No.
Unfortunately. But back we come
This
again.
Pantheon.
Aaron for round 2.
Ooh.
Ooh. And the thumbs up emote. Mukasa.
There is a
knows
Kindred
what's up.
beelining for here, though. It might not be as simple as they want it to be. This Garen greeting quite heavily for the tower plating will
Right down
ignite
to the
and
Pantheon.
take out the Pantheon in mere moments.
Excellent work there.
That's not even
2 to 2. One more kill for that Feat of Warfare. Perhaps coming out here in the mid lane. Ari very hungry.
Not getting much off it. Third chip damage.
There is the spell shield falling down. There is no spell shield here. Oh, no Law's ultimate committed. No cholesterol committed.
But in comes the Vi. And Vi does have an ult to commit.
Yeah, no spell shield will be for quite some time. So this should be a pretty easy dive, and they will just go ahead and kill off. And oh, this is...
Oh, pizza delivery Siva. But it looks like
Okay.
sandwiches are on the menu.
They make it work. It's very awkward. They should definitely kill Yumi. It appears they're not going to, but they 100% should kill her. But that is okay.
Absolutely. Feat of Warfare.
Oh, looks for it aggressively. That will be all it is of it. But I like it. Very interesting use of the Aurora ultimate to try and take out the Kindred.
Pantheon's got that Eclipse now. Got the item lead on Garen, gives him a bit more trading potential. If he
Yeah,
stops
but
Garen's back,
he's gonna let the Garen back, and will mean that
Garen
the
doesn't
Garen
back.
doesn't take the base,
Garen's hungry.
and Garen does have ultimate back, but is falling quite low.
Forces a
Ooh,
flat.
Flash comes out from the Pantheon though.
Both junglers are topside. This could be a fight here.
Ooh, out comes Flash from Garen. So much damage.
Too
And
hungry.
a great Q from Mukasa.
That was the spell shield from Sivir, I believe, just got consumed.
Yeah.
So they could look for something soon.
What a shame Garen wasn't aware of the extreme lethality that Eclipse brings. He doesn't know. What a shame.
Of course.
Doesn't list it on the item, but
Isn't
we know
listed
it's there.
on the
We
item.
know it's there.
It's pretty lethal. As we're
It's
seeing.
pretty lethal. Yep. Lethality Pantheon. He's pretty lethal.
Amazing. Really, it seems like this. Oh,
Great hook.
wait. The hook. It is
Ground,
just
out comes the
everything is
Yumi
coming out onto the Sivir. Exhaust
Yumi
comes
duels.
through and will
But here comes the
say,
Kindred.
"Oh, Kindred.
Flashing
Oh,
to avoid the slow. Kindred taking so much damage. Callista jumping
it's close,
in.
and it will
Very
just be
aggressive.
the kill there and
My
two, and that'll be
goodness.
3 for the
Make it
Kindred.
triple. The Yumi doing its best.
Ari was
Pretty
just walking
kitty don't
straight
go
into the Aurora.
close.
No one here to defend against the Garen. Pantheon going for plates before. And it's a bit of a spicy game, but finally we get some action in the bot lane that is favored towards that Callista. It's actually very high CS on the Vi, 101. Tofu, we haven't seen him much this game, except for that one
Yeah.
dive on bottom lane. He has just been playing very, very slow, which is very interesting. We had that one invade early game, but other than that, not really anything going on. No invades, no gangsters. Here, finally we're getting some movement out of him, and it will just be instantly
Beautifully lined up.
converted.
There.
There is the R on the Kindred. Will be Tofu falling down. the Pantheon is here to try and make it work, but only gets a stun onto the Garen, and I'm pretty sure we'll just
Garen's hungry.
slowly fall here.
Nautilus attempting to step in.
Well, the Eclipse Shield maybe
ooh, good
not
bit of
quite
damage.
enough.
Farm goes wide.
Actually, is only one of them falling down instead of both of them. That much you will take, but Tofu ends up falling down for a shutdown, and mid tower is soon to follow. Really not where you want to be for the Penultimate
Well,
Prodigies.
if you're having 3 grubs there, you take it so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
Garen's already shreds towers.
He's
Kalista
going back
getting the
top,
bottom
perhaps
tower.
to do the same.
And objectives, they can still get those feats of strength. That's something they can look for. The Penultimate Prodigies, picking up a dragon or a Rift Herald, but we'll see if they're able to do that in the near future.
This is a Bork Kalista here. This might not be a fight the Civ won.
Yeah, very, very strong on this Kalista, and the special goes
comes
down,
the Nautilus
instantly
actually ults.
converting into that Nautilus ultimate, but it doesn't look like we'll actually get anything going,
It is a
as
Kindred
Rhystic
being
Remora has
killed.
actually fallen in the one-on-one. Alright, we'll just be recalling. Little does Vi know there's a Kindred right there. If she had gone, would have been fallen prey to the Kindred ultimate, protecting the Ahri. So luckily it doesn't go forward, and it's an even game, and that's not what you want to be with Siva Yumi in your game. You want to be pushing forward. That was the main thing we were pushing for. We want to see it go forward. We want to see stuff happen, and instead it's stalled out with this farming Kindred with this Siva Yumi, and it's looking like it might be a similar game to last time. All of those woes of the game going long and Garen hitting those towers.
Yeah, it's 16 minutes. If I were the Penultimate Prodigies, I would certainly start to be scared.
Just
A
like
great
what happened
secure.
last game.
Feng Shui, Feng Shui ended last game 2-11. It's just there was a lot of similar stuff to that where Feng Shui was walking into a lot of people on objectives and getting nuked. So yes, definitely did just die for little reason, but it isn't the end of the world. As Ahri goes in, hits the charm,
Time for a
and it will
Kalista
just be a
sandwich.
conversion. As Yumi's the one taking up, and more than happy to tank up for her AD carry and then just jump right back in. They see the Aurora, know that she has no W, but there's a bomb dropped onto that Kindred. The health goes away.
You will be tower for tower, though.
Has also been feats secured for the blue team here.
Yeah, that did come through with the Rift Herald take, but it's just too little. You can see the gold lead is with red side. They are down on kills this game again, yes, but it's not nearly as insurmountable as the difference last time. And the CS that we praised them for is going to matter yet again. 50 CS up on the mid lane, 40 CS, 30 CS up on the top lane. Of course, Vi and Kalista are holding their own respective lanes accountable, but I think these numbers will only serve to jump the Siva coming into the mid game, being able to farm so efficiently. The Ahri and the Garen farming is just going to be impeccable as well. As actually Vi is here to fight with the Pantheon. I don't think this is going to go so well
We've got Siva
for
walking
that
up too.
Garen.
Garen
Siva.
can stall.
He's doing circles.
Yeah, and it did manage to stall more than well enough for the Siva, and it will just be the turnaround.
Yeah, you see the Vi ultimate going out onto the Garen, which is probably not what Tofu wanted to happen. There was perhaps a more desirable target there of the two that were available.
Yeah, and Garen just able to stall out enough time for Siva to come before the fight really went, but they do have everything just onto Siva. Spell shield getting nothing.
So much damage
And
from
the flash
Kalista.
comes out, and will just be Kalista taking Garen out as well, I think. Oh, but it's close, it's close! Oh, the Q misses, and will be Garen
Oh my
living with a
goodness.
Yumi on him to get him
80
out of dodge.
HP.
It's
That is-
unfortunate there. It's so close to the fight cleanup for Zarume, the turnaround on
He's
them
hungry,
greeting for the
he wants
tower.
more.
Yeah,
They're
there's a
looping
buy
around.
respawning.
Pantheon's TPing as well. As he
Absolutely
just got
no
his
cooldowns
Yumi
onto
kill.
this Garen.
My goodness, he's gonna get himself and the Yumi killed there.
A bit of a Feng Shui classic, a bit off more than he could chew, and takes out another one falls with him.
From 10-10 to 13-11.
Kindred, he's got his 4th stack, looking for his 5th at the moment. Stacking a bit faster than he did last game. He finished last game with 7.
And down comes the Rift Herald in mid. Unable to secure that tower though before it falls. Sivert shooting up that wave, no doubt. And in comes the rest of the team though. Nautilus and Vi on the scene.
Just feels like this game is so similar to the last one. It's just stalling out, it's going slow. Vi actually moving straight into a Kindred and might fall, but actually turns it onto the Vi with the Pantheon flank, but Vi will just fall down. Kindred ultimate going kind of wide, but it will not matter as the Captain Tofu falls outside of it, and just everyone falling. That's a 4 kills, and it happened early this game. Sweep into the Artican easily for Dewey, and it might just be lights out for the penultimate Prodigies after this.
Drunk Ultra Instinct came back from West last game, giving them the Artican here.
Not looking great.
Kindred getting his 7th stack at 21 minutes.
Yeah,
Without
I would
his
certainly
DPS, they're struggling on Artican though.
Yeah,
Aurora's
but they have
here.
all the time in the world.
And in comes Aurora.
Aurora just
dropping the
one
ultimate.
shot.
Wait, picks up the kill.
Oh, huge
Wait.
damage coming through onto the Sivir. I don't think it will end up with anything too substantial. Will be Aurora falling down, but a glorious attempt, if nothing else.
That really could have been a turnaround moment there for Juniper. A play of the series sort of maneuver if it had paid off. I do have to say that I admire her for trying.
Yeah, and from what I understand, Garen will actually have that icon buff still upon resurrecting. So won't be too peeved off with that death.
That he does.
And so they're gonna have that push available. They're gonna have Feng Shui Masters still able to resurrect at speed. But it's kind of the opposite of what we're saying. Yes, I'm very scared. I'm thinking that Dewey are in a great spot, but opposite to what we said so many times, it's still close, but this time Captain Tofu's team, you know, they're only 1k behind. And it will be Garen is the victim of this right here. And will be a second tier top tower as well, just immediately after. Indrid looking aggressively onto Aurora, and I do not think she will be living this one. As actually does live for quite some time, but eventually falls. No, they don't actually feel confident enough to convert into that second tier bottom tower. So not the end of the world for Mr. Cremora. Ends up falling for not too much. And the second tier tower defended. And this Artican buff looking not very useful. They get Garen killed. Yes, it's only 200 gold, but 200 out of 300, pretty good. And they get the second tier top tower. That in of itself is a good 1k or so swing. And so had to feel pretty good. They get the game into their hands a little bit again. And the Artican buff doesn't really get much going.
Yeah, Garen and Pantheon likely to meet here. Potentially the opportunity for a bit of a squish. And it looks like the rest of the team will rotate up.
Will be the Pantheon being engaged on again. Soaks a lot of damage with the E, but no E now for the 4 people all laying down the damage onto him. And it will be Garen escaping.
Taking a lot of tower there.
Looks like they are just going to commit to the push mid. Aurora will be the chosen member to defend top side. And they will defend fairly well.
Oh, massive damage! Oh my goodness!
but unfortunately will not commit.
This is
any
only
further.
a one-item Aurora doing that much damage.
Oh, and Garen again walking straight into a vibe. We've seen this one before, but they will commit to the
Into the
ultimate, and there
knockup.
will be the Callista damage coming through. Kindred ultimate used actually, but the Rend is coming in mere moments. Oh no, it's
Ooh,
not. As
Garen
actually Garen lives.
That is devastating. To commit 3 onto that kill and to lose them all.
That's gonna be Dragon.
Strong Gold to Instinct have got to feel great about this as they pick up their 3rd dragon. Soul point.
And that's a 10th mark for Kindred too.
And can even commit to the Baron Nashor immediately after with the death timers if they want. It looks like they're not going to, but definitely have an angle to do so if they wish. And 10 marks on Kindred, exactly as Isaiah points out. Humongous deal. This Kindred has a lot of range. You got a Caitlyn running around in your jungle, able to put out so much damage at so far range. And there is the Baron I was talking about. They won't be able to get the. And speaking of the DPS, Sivir and the Kindred huge Baron DPSs at this point of the game will just take it out without them able to get there. But maybe a fight's going to break out.
Aurora, so much damage when Pantheon locks up the Garen. Vi just so slowed.
Lives on 1 health.
Oh! So
They are going to pick up 1.
Yeah, we'll just be Garen falling down for the Baron Nashor. Not a bad trade at all. No other objective for the Penultimate Prodigies to go get while they base. So after feeling quite good if you're Dewey, and finally you can see gold lead creeping up for them for the first time in the series, despite winning the first game and this game being quite close. So they're in a great spot. They've got the scaling still going. We'll see if they can convert it.
Absolutely, but such an important pick here as well for the Penultimate Prodigies. If you really want to get Baron off anyone, you don't want to let that Garen split push with it.
Yeah. So far, not much going on. They're waiting for their Garen to respawn, so that they can play off of him, exactly as you say. But now we might get some movement at the station with all those summoners up on Dewey. We got the Garen back up. They got the Baron buff with a few more minutes left, and Penultimate Prodigies really are looking for something in this river, in this jungle, and they're gonna find it.
The Aurora ultimate, big damage here onto the Kindred, forced to use ultimate so early in the fight.
And there it is, Kindred down.
The turnaround from the Nautilus, but look at that Ari damage chilling through.
Garen's still living. He pumped out so much damage.
There's the Penta.
I picks it up, but that is the pentakill for Valorium. He had to take a sick break, and I think you can see why. That man is absolutely disgusting on the Sivir. Sickens me.
And there you saw it. They try and jump all over that Sivir, desperately want her to fall, but unfortunately they don't have anything, and Sivir just rips through the 3 of them before going onto the Callista, and then finally the Vi. And at the end of the day, it's just a very, very strong Sivir with a Yuumi. Again, the timer just simply too high, right? 28 minutes into the game, a fight, an important one at 27 minutes. You really just need to get that game tempo going before Sivir's be able to become such a monster. And they're actually looking quite aggressively. Pantheon Ultimate gets consumed, looking for the Sivir before she can take a base. She has 5 kills in her pocket, remember, and turret gold and minions, so probably about 2k in that pocket. So perhaps they want to make sure that they can take her out before she can hit an Infinity Edge, and it will just find her. It will be the catch out.
For the red buff. Sivir says that loyalty is not earned, it's bought with gold.
There's actually Nautilus Ultimate going towards a phase rush Garen, so maybe not able to catch up. It will be the Vi Ultimate as well, and they're going long for this man, but they find him eventually.
Ari's on the flank.
And he will get taken out.
And the Callista Ultimate finds it as well. That's 4 people dead. They're going to be able to walk up, and maybe they can try. Maybe they can try for a very ambitious end here. Of course, Sivir will be up, but it will only be Sivir, Yuumi, and Kindred. 3 people, yes, it'll be hard, but will you get as good a chance as this again? I'm not sure. So we'll see if they want to go for it or if they just want to stick to those inhibs. But this could be it, to be honest. They will just stick to that inhib. They're going to play it safe. Dragon coming up. 20 seconds. It's going to be a bit too late on this Dragon. They're going to have to take their resets as they will. They're all recalling together, though. And they will actually turn onto the Kindred.
Out comes the Kindred. Great work there.
Lots of damage from the Sivir, by the way.
Damage from the Sivir. Oh my goodness, it's 3.
Another Pinter incoming.
It is another Penta. It's going to be hard to find this Nautilus
now.
And so will just be the Quadra almost certainly, but ridiculously close to the Penta.
Out teleport from the Ahri.
And it happened again. They actually go onto the Kindred, and Sivir is ricocheting through all 5 of them the whole duration of the Kindred ultimate. Kindred acting as a fantastic tank in the end. And it's just tragic because the Sivir just does so well into the penultimate Prodigies, it seems. And 10 seconds left onto the members. They're not going to go for the end here. Again, I really think this was an ending angle. 10 seconds with a Sivir, with the Garen right there, only Nautilus defending. They even had the Ahri TP that they ended up using, I believe, on bottom, and then Ahri wasn't even there at mid. But they miss out on that window. Instead, they just say, yes, we know 100% we can get the soul. Don't want to even remotely chance it because we know that, as we said, this late game is their territory.
Absolutely. The game at 30 minutes now. This Kindred, the Sivir, could not be feeling better if they tried.
13 stack Kindred. They waited to give Kindred that little stack.
Yeah, and
more powerful.
It's a bit of a scary Kindred. 13 stacks. That man, he attacks from a long way away and does a lot of damage. That is a very, very safe Kindred build. They're not going to output as much damage as they potentially could, but they will definitely get that ultimate off, and we've seen how much that's done.
Onto the Garen.
Garen again walking into a bush and just copping it, and will actually
so
burn a lot here from the Vi and eventually live. Sivir will just end up killing him off as Nautilus goes in as well.
Him.
And this Sivir just doesn't die. There's a Yuumi on her.
Great Aurora ultimate damage, but it's just not enough.
The Yuumi
the chase down on the Garen from Tofu.
And it's just tragic. They put so much into the Garen, but he's just running away with a phase rush with a Q, and it's so hard to keep him up. And then they try and jump on the Sivir, but she's so tanky with the heal, the barrier, the Yuumi, and so they will clean up another team fight. And Dewey, the kings of the team fight, it seems. Even when you're 7k down, 20 kills down, no worries. We'll take the team fight victory. And they will secure a 2-0 against all odds. It was looking quite nice for the Penultimate Prodigies, but the drunken masters, the martial artists, as it were, on Dewey, they'll take it.
I've slipped a little something into Dewey's channel. We might be able to let's see if we can get a little someone on the desk. I'm certain Valorium would love to talk about how that went for him.
Dewey's DMs.
Dewey's what?
Dewey's DMs. Sliding into Dewey's DMs.
Sliding into Dewey's DMs.
I see.
Okay.
Ooh, and honestly, two very close and very nail-biting games. But again, they fought with all of their hearts and souls. You have to put it out for the Penultimate Prodigies, because it seemed like there was opportunities in the second game for them to take it at the end, winning that team fight, getting that inhibitor, and then game one, of course, they looked like they were in the driver's seat for so long. So we're definitely a strong contender and more than worthy of going out in the semifinals. So definitely shout out to the Penultimate Prodigies. But speaking of, we have one of them. We have multiple, many joining us.
We had a double request.
Multiple interview.
The victors going to the finals. Well-earned victory. How are we, Valorium and Gengar?
Hello, thanks for the congratulations. Honestly, that was such a difficult game. Like, this honestly could have gone either way. In the regular season, this was actually one of the two teams that we lost to. The other team being Weenie Hut Juniors. And honestly, like they're so strong. Like they have a lot of low elo players, and that was in order to balance out Tofu. But like, I want to call them quote unquote low elo because I feel like they're so much better than what the elo would suggest. So yeah, just really want to give congratulations to the enemy team first. And then on our end, congratulations to our team. Just staying mentally safe, especially in that first game.
Yeah, that first game, it was looking really, really tight. It was not looking good, but you ripped through them at 22-2, I believe the kill score was, and got a whole, I think maybe the whole team aced, or very close to it. How did that feel, knowing that you were so far behind, and then you get all of that gold income and you know that you're in that position to carry?
Honestly, like our game plan going in was this team is demon early. They are so good at early skirmishes. So we're like, we just got to play to what we're better than them at, and that was late game. And I think you could see that in the drafts as well, with them picking Lister bot lane versus us picking Sivayumi, like kind of early game versus scaling. And in the first game, we definitely let it get out of hand, got a bit greedy on some waves. But the fact we were able to turn it around, we were able to punish one or two mistakes they made here or there and find an end to the game. Also, big shout out to Riot for nerfing Voracious Articon. I've PayPal'd the balance team. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Personal
absolutely.
request.
Yeah,
That
and
check will be cashing.
of course. We also have, don't forget, Gengar, the second part of the bot lane.
Yeah, I'm just here like I'm still
unfortunately,
Yumi.
sentenced to the Yumi duty 2 games in a row. But how were you feeling? How exactly was the team morale? What were you getting up to in those 2 games?
Well, at the end of the first game, I was just there to make sure my team didn't get a massive confidence boost and run it down. We all know things. But honestly, it's like putting me on Yumi. I'm confident in my my micro, but it just means it's just more of an enabling for Valorium to just run it and get as many kills as possible. You saw at the end there that the Sivir took no damage, right? I just spam all my buttons and it doesn't matter. If we can survive, I think a good example is the second game was how we wanted the first game to go. Surviving as much as we can early game to just let the Kindred scale, let the Sivir get as many farms as possible, and as long as we're even in CS, we're ahead at 30 minutes pretty much, which was the plan.
Keep in mind, Gengar wasn't on Yumi duty because it's like, oh, Gengar needs to play Yumi. She's on it for me because I'm bad at positioning.
Yeah. Combined
absolutely
with
no shame, right?
Combined with
you know what you have to do, you do it.
We've just figured that combined with Sivir spell shield, it's very tricky for the Nautilus to get a proper engage on the Sivir along with the Vi. There was a lot of attempts
as well.
Unfortunately, the 2 times that they dived, I got the kill somehow. But you can see that even with a Yumi and a spell shield, we usually go 1-for-1 in dives and stuff, and that was the plan. Just go even until late game.
Yeah.
Oh, it worked.
Is there any message for, obviously they're playing the series right now. You mentioned that one of your nemesis that beat you during the regular season, the Weenie Hut Juniors, they're currently playing T2 at the moment. We will find out who you'll be versing in the finals soon, but what do you have to say to your opponent next week? Or Sunday, I believe it is.
I just want to say best of luck to both teams. T2 and Weenie Hut are both really excellent teams, and it sucks that one of them has to get eliminated, but is what it is. On the other hand, please T2 win. I beg of you.
I wanna defeat Pig Bucket. He keeps messaging me, man. That's fine.
We gotta have the finals.
There's a lot of healthy competition in the between people in the tournament. And it's really nice. Will saying Poppy would have...
Also the mute Feng Shui. Mute Feng Shui.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say hashtag mute Feng Shui. But Will saying Pop. I just want to quickly jump in. Will saying Poppy would have gone crazy. I agree. But let's be honest. If I was on Poppy that game, how many times would I have entered, man?
Yeah,
beyond
Zarami and Guild, such a good bot lane,
Much
honestly, like
better
way
at
higher than they're
punishing.
rated.
Very good at
So good.
punishing mistakes, especially my mistakes.
Will we be seeing the Poppy in the finals, Gengar?
Oh,
I don't know, we're cooking some stuff up. We're cooking some stuff up in scrims. We're not going to leak anything.
we're not letting Feng Shui in the kitchen.
Yeah, Feng Shui is banned from the kitchen, but everybody else firmly in the kitchen.
Alright, fair enough.
Alright.
Any last notes before we wrap up?
Oh, we're good. Excited to watch this
Yeah,
game.
GG's, and looking forward to watching the other semi-final.
Awesome. Excellent job out there, guys. Congratulations again on the 2-0. As you said, kept it together. Mental of iron. Best of luck for the finals.
Thank you.
Mental
Thank
of
you.
iron, but the Grandmaster's mentality.
Stellar bars.
Thank you. I'll be here all night.
Okay.
Oh man, all good.
Oh.
Catch you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Right. A pleasure to have on the desk. Of course.
Very well earned,
Rory
of course.
Magenga.
Yeah, the two of them instrumental in their team's victory, of course. We do, as already mentioned, have another game. I believe there's already
Right
been a
into
game
it.
one. A game one has already occurred. I think. I don't know. But
My understanding is this is their game one.
this is the game one. Do
Yeah,
we
I believe they
have
started at 8.
confirmation?
Oh. Well,
I'm confirming with Will. It is 0-0 currently.
yeah.
got
It's
another
0-0, so it
potential
is actually the
free
game one. And yes, we are coming in a little late. We have already had some action. 7-7 is the score line. But some interesting stuff going on here. We have Petty on the Aurelia, for the Kale, which is of course something well known for the Kale. And Prince's Aurelia getting banned as of late and got picked up for a victory against Goobies, safe for work, last series. So doing quite well. You can see 191 CS, huge CS, very well done. And speaking of, I'm talking about it, and it instantly goes in on the Kale and actually uses both of the Qs here. So Kale might just be able to flash away and
Great
live.
flash.
But that's what I'm talking about. Mentioning how the Kale, the Aurelia has been hyped up to me, and with that aggressiveness showing exactly why. But we also have the Annie, Jive, lots of that in the last series, and is showing up again in this game. And then of course Mellow Kaiser, Ran Men, Dextel, Rel, lots of basically all around staples for everyone here. And what else can you expect from the semi-finals? But I think you can once again notice kind of similar vibes, right? Aurelia, Wukong, Annie, Kaiser, Rel versus Jinx, Seraphine, Udyr, Kale, right? I think we've got a similar kind of vibes on the blue and red side as well. We want to see more of that aggression from this blue side roster, because I don't want to be in this game when Kale hits 16, when Jinx hits 3 items, when Seraphine is just providing infinite shields and movement speed. So third dragon here for T2, and lots of people grouping up. We'll see exactly what happens. And there's the Amumu going in.
Early
Seraphine
engage.
ultimate on top, but completely whiffing only onto that Rel. Mumu ultimate also comes down.
Oh, and here comes
and Annie,
Prince.
no.
She's excited.
Yeah, she is excited because as they come down to make the fight happen, Annie on the flank unfortunately can't find the flash Tibbers and does just miss as Kaiser is taken out, as Wukong is unable to find and engage. Not sure if Wukong actually had the ultimate looking at that availability, but Aurelia didn't have the flash of the ultimate. We saw the aggressiveness on KO, and it will just be converted Dragon into Otacon straight away, and it's a disaster.
Absolutely.
It's looking like game 2, right? The scaling team winning that crucial team fight at 20 minutes, breaking up the kill score, taking the gold lead and 2 objectives. And you have to think it's going to go a similar way of game 2 of Penultimate Prodigies versus Dewey as well.
You take a look at the scoreline and you really get the sense that we've played these games before.
Thank you.
No problem. Anytime.
Well, Kai'Sa gonna have some amount of scaling, and you still have the. You can just say whatever you will about Annie. At some point, you get a 3-item Annie, you flash Tibbers 4 people, and it doesn't matter how far you are behind if you can find that glorious moment, the classic.
Flash Tibber on Jinx, she's dead. It's done.
So, we'll see if we can get something of that level. But yes, you would prefer to have that very nice KO, that very nice Jinx on your side. And they do have this Articon buff. It's grouped up as 5 people. Pethy grouping up with them. Aurelia going to start hitting that side lane tower. As we've seen previously, really, really good at destroying the side lane towers with that buff recently, with the passive affecting towers and not losing the passive attack speed when you're hitting the towers as well. As Annie here trying to stall it out, but will just be running into that Amumu and slowly dying. And it is her sacrificing her life to stall out this mid-wave tower. But speaking of people sacrificing their lives for the mid lane tower, it will be Rel falling as well. They do manage to take out top lane tier 2. Big gold injection, but not really worth losing both Annie and Dexter and the mid lane tower eventually. Not where you want to be.
Absolutely, and that flash on Kai'Sa gone as well because of the Seraphine ultimate. Definitely
Might just be one, it seems. 2 falling here. Maybe even the inhibitor going down at 24 minutes right as Baron Nash is going to be spawning up. Not really what you want to see, where you want to be, because Jinx hitting the 2.5 items, 3 items, going to be able to rip through that Baron Nash, especially with a Kayle assisting, who's no doubt, yep, dinging 15 right now, 16 to come in but a few waves.
Absolutely, a really scary position for T2 to be in. And you look at where they are in the game, and you sort of compare their position to where their lane opponents are on Weenie Hut Juniors, and you start to wonder, where are they coming back? What opportunities do these guys have to get back in the game? And it looks like what they're doing here, setting up for the Baron, hoping they're going to be able to get this one, take it from Weenie Hut Juniors somehow. Because I think if you let them take the Baron, it's game.
Yeah, and it's just already KO 16. Like, KO 16 is coming, and it's not even that far away. It's quite close. And you'll be able to go for a Baron Nashor with a KO 16 while this inhibitor is down. That'll happen in this time frame. So it's just very, very scary. If you're gonna get stuff going, maybe even going after a Baron Nashor yourself, as you say, doing something to try and make it work. As actually, it's Annie finding out Seraphine, getting her flash, and then the Q, while buffered in the CC, will just be a kill going down to Annie for free, and that's a good start.
Yeah, that pick on Memento Mori really good. Seraphine, of course, such a strong teamfight champion. You definitely want to remove her ultimate from the equation.
But Wukong no clone will be forced to just flash to survive. Not what you want to see, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. Such an important tool for the Wukong engage. Rel.
Potentially.
Kai'Sa at risk of being caught out here. Rel most certainly. She does drop her ultimate, but is going to be unable to get away here. Aurelia with the bottom tower.
TP mid, go start
No.
with Baron.
Yeah, when you have
looks
juniors
like-
with the Baron picks, the Seraphine TP.
Not afraid to just get it going before KO hits 16.
Kai'Sa in spawn. Not
yeah.
going to be here for this fight.
EP is available for Aurelia, but it's going to be too little too late, I believe, as Baron Nash just falls, and no penalty as KO ascends to 16 with a fresh Baron buff. And Aurelia is doming these side lane towers, but it's just a little bit too little too late, unless she's really starting to pierce into the base here, which she might try, but I don't think she'll get very far, because there is 5 people behind her ready to extract vengeance, and I think she's going to find them in but a mere moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Annie running in, perhaps trying to create an opportunity for the Aurelia to get away, but the Flash ultimate, Jinx just... My goodness, with the reactive Flash.
Oh no! And Jiwei looks for the AD carry, but misses, and even doesn't go for that Kale that is just in range, right? Instead, prioritizes that Jinx, and unfortunately just misses the bear altogether. And that will be really all is necessary. Wow. I mean,
Bit of
Teddy's
overkill
very
there.
aggressive
Kale
with his
does
ultimate.
not care.
Yeah. We slow kill onto this Rel. Rel trying to flash, but it's simply not happening. And Kale's already just hit doming the base. No worries. Doesn't look
Showing off
good.
these towers.
In fact, looks like it's over. Oh my
Wukong,
god, the
good
Jinx
dodge.
almost
Oh my
domes.
god, feeling skinny.
But yeah, gets out of there. Annie unable to get the stun and doesn't even have the Tibbers to really threaten at all. The
Rayleigh's
Nexus
got
is
some good
open.
damage though. Let's see what she can do.
And
Chewing
the
him
Kale's
up,
just
actually, Aurelia.
killing.
Down
Yeah, a
goes
lot
Kale.
of damage coming down.
Great
huge
damage
amounts of
between
damage
the
coming
Aurelia and the Wukong. My goodness. I mean, hit the Nexus, not the Aurelia, perhaps.
Yeah, it is kind of like that. Aurelia just face tanking, healing out this damage, and will just eventually take him.
Holy.
Imagine if they had a Kale ult there.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Kale ultimate backup, 40-second cooldown at this time in the game will be quite oppressive, even if it's being used in rather liberal ways.
Yeah.
And outside of anything, that's an open nexus still. And it's still a 3-item Kale with level 16. It's still a 3-item Jinx with level 16 still to come. You're definitely feeling good, even if you decided to be generous and run a little soup kitchen at the enemy nexus.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to be constantly on your toes, especially when you're junior. 2 TPs on their team, you know, an errant ward in the Nexus is how Captain Tofu and his team did it many moons ago in our last tournament.
As
Sneaky Olaf
there's no flash on this Rel, will just be them falling down slowly, getting run down by baskets. I talked about the Annie
Great
before,
damage
and it's
from
a
the-
lot of damage, but that Annie's too
forcing
far
the
behind,
Kale
and
ultimate out.
there's no follow-up anywhere in sight. So yes, it's big, and look, it instantly requires the recall of both those carries, but just a little bit more gold on that Annie, just a little bit not as behind. Any follow-up Wukong in the general vicinity would have been huge, but unfortunately not quite the game-winning play. But this is what I mean. You find that Annie ultimate, whether it be with the flash or just straight up like that, it can still be game-changing.
Got 4 members of Weenie Hut Juniors playing towards this top side here. Full 5. Well, they're up
Yeah.
and collapsing on the mid tower.
And it's
really
a
wanna
common
take this here
theme.
too.
They love trading those towers to group up and trade the towers elsewhere.
Yeah, in a
As there
risky
is
position.
Udyr just running away. No worries. And Seraphine ultimate will just be used onto the Rel. 3-1 picked up. And they have to recall to answer the push, but it's just not happening here, I believe.
Absolutely. Now comes
Well, there's the Tibbers. Mantomori instantly falls. But
It's
this
exactly
looks
the
like a
damage
triple
we're looking
inhib is
for.
in the works. As Kale
No
instantly
Kale.
dies, unable to
Oh
get
my
the Kale.
goodness.
And Aurelia's in the
Great
backline
ultimate
trying to
from the
finger
Lulu,
shot the
though.
Jinx, but Jinx is getting excited, trying to space out this Annie, and there's no cooldowns left, and so they will just slowly be burnt out.
Guys are
There's
just
only
can't
Rel up.
move.
This might be a Penta, it might be a game end, but there's no minions for now, but they've got a lot of time, and they're looking for this Penta. You know they want it, and they hit the Jinx W. There's the slow Rel. Will just be slowly killed. Penta, right there. Oh,
Stolen!
yep,
They
they
died
got
for
it.
The tower damage.
And they actually sacrifice a lot of time to not pushing waves to try and get that Penta. They still have time, but Wukong's up in 10, so they give up the game win for the Penta and then don't even get the Penta.
The Memento Mori
In comes this teleport from Memento Mori. Seraphine on the scene.
They're gonna
Can't
try
see
for
the
it, but
tower health
Wukong's up.
bars.
Let's see if Wukong can kill Jinx, and he's gonna at least threaten
Oh.
her.
Just
And
not enough.
Mello
In
is
comes the
up.
second teleport.
They're trying to make it work, and the CC is actually going to come through. But the W lands
Ooh,
onto
big
Jinx.
shutdown.
There's Kale in the next. This does have the Kale ultimate, but he's trying to fight it out instead of killing the Nexus. Oh, but hits the
Oh,
Nexus.
hit the Nexus.
Finishes it.
Not the Aurelia. Just ekes that one out.
Oh my days, and they're having a bit too much fun, it seems, over on Weenie Hut Juniors as they go for the kills, they go for the penta. They're so confident with their late game team that they can make it work, and in the end, they're right. They simply can go for some kills, pad the stats a bit, pad the deaths a little bit before the Nexus falls. They take game 1.
Yeah, shame that we didn't get that full game picture.
Yeah, it was looking quite even as we came in, but again, 20 minutes, that pivotal timer, it seems, of when you either go big or go home.
All right, got up the draft site for game 2. It'll be very interesting to see what these two teams, you know, if we're gonna see a run back like Penultimate Prodigies Dewey here. But I do like your excellent observation there in the first game. It seems like, once again, a case of a team who's looking to play long here, Weenie Hut Juniors, with their Jinx, with their Kale. You know, if they let that game go 30 minutes, it's over. So I want to see what T2 does here, because running it back didn't work out, unfortunately, for Penultimate Prodigy. So are T2, you know, perhaps going to learn from those mistakes, or do they think, you know, the first game was a fluke?
There's a few things that I think you could do. They do end up choosing blue side, which I'm interested why they did that. But there's a few variations you can make. Getting a good top matchup. Yeah, Aurelia is really good, but it's not the slam jamming into that Kale. But of course, Petty will have counterpick if he wants it. So maybe that's not an option. And then something else. There's something like the Kane, like, you know, making your own scaling option being a bit obnoxious, but it's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at the confidence that Weenie Hut Juniors has on their teamfight champions as well, you know? You got the Jinx, who wants to take those big fights, the supporting Amumu ultimate devastating, as well as a Seraphine. It'll be interesting to see if T2 sort of looks instead to play a composition that doesn't want to take those big, you know, grandiose fights. Because that seems to be where Weenie Hut Jr. really excels.
It's seeming to me just the same story, right? You want to see T2 take it up, get more aggressive. That's been their thing, right? You know, Jibe loves the roams, loves the aggressive play. You have the Rel in the bottom lane. And even Pickbucket played a lot of Vi, right? This type of thing, rather than opting into something more scaling. Yeah, you could try something like the Kane. Yeah, you could run Nasus into Kale, but it's hard to get a Kale matchup, like a counter pick, because you're on blue. And then if you go Kale, but then they go Jinx, if you go Kane, but then they go Kale, Jinx, Seraphine, then it's really rough to try and do some kind of scaling output. So I would love to see that aggression come back and try and make that work.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be a little easier perhaps if they started the draft so we could really comment on what was happening instead of theorizing, but
our job is to fill the silence, not to hope they've end it for us.
come now. I'm sure the people at home love us, but there reaches a point where they want to see some pretend characters on the screen hit each other until one of them stops moving.
Of course, I overstepped. My apologies.
Yeah, they're gonna put you in the cage with me for that one. Sorry, man. You get used to it. Don't worry, you get used to it. It's
I didn't do anything to deserve this, man. What the
you
hell?
might have to take a couple sessions in the cage for me. You'll find out
here.
whether or not they can contain your silliness.
Draft is underway.
Oh,
Yep.
thank goodness. It was getting a little too silly even for me.
And there is the Cassante ban from Petty.
And a cup.
Do not want to let him have that.
Okay,
Maybe one day,
champions banned.
Jubei. Ooh. Trying to pin Pethy down here. Removing the Ziggs. And the Udyr.
I do like the Kale and Udyr bans, but honestly, the Kale didn't seem like that much of a problem. They were dealing with it perfectly fine, but there's other options as well for Petty. Even I've never really thought about it. Just the Vladimir has not come out for Petty, which is I find really strange
Yeah.
because, of course, is one of Petty's bread and butters. Fits into that Kale kind of playstyle, but not favored by Petty anymore for one reason or another.
Very interesting to see this first pick. They take the Jinx here from Weenie.
And they
I
are
like
doing
that.
what I said, right? You're taking Udyr off, you're taking Kale off, you're taking Jinx off by picking yourself. They have just opted into scaling themselves, so I want to see that Kane come through for Pig Bucket if you're going to do it this way.
Absolutely. Seraphine once again for Memento Mori. Looks like they're going for the same thing. They want those team fight champions and the Kane. My goodness. This is why we keep this rogue guy around, ladies and gentlemen.
So Kane comes through, and
And
another call out, another call out immediately comes through. The Vladimir scaling. If we're gonna play scaling versus scaling, you're gonna take away the Kale from Petty. He's got another one he's trained for this moment for many years. So the Kale, the Vladimir does come out, and they're gonna ban that Nasus away. And I would really strongly suggest to ban that Aurelia as well, because Aurelia into Vlad, quite a nice matchup for that Aurelia. Can just stick to you. I really am not a fan of this Lally ban. I just really expect to see Aurelia, and Aurelia looks like she's got a good game. She has a good matchup into that Vladimir. She's got the Seraphine affiliate she can just stick to. Doesn't have to worry about excited people. She can just run a game looking like this. So 100% expect to see Aurelia. And then the question is, what is coming in for G-Bay? And with what's remaining, I'm thinking Cassiopeia. I'm thinking Anivia, but I think Cassio would be my guess. But really, a Birth of Champion still available for G-Bay after this Aurelia lock.
Yeah, absolutely. And perhaps we need to ask these players to get the hell off of the stream. It became the Vladimir and the prophesized Aurelia pick. You know, money to remind these teams that they shouldn't be tuning in while playing explicitly against the rules. Not that I think any of them.
Yeah, it is just the Anivia going back to basics. I wasn't sure. Anivia, of course, classic 4G Bay rock. I wasn't sure if he would go back to his rock though, because he has had at best very shaky Anivia performances based off the not having nearly as much practice, thinking it would get banned, and then just having it open in times like this, and then being like, well, it is one of my base champions, but I haven't practiced it nearly as much as I want to, and missing those walls, missing those setups. So pretty high intensity moment for G-Bay, going back to the basics, but had rocky performances through the tournament. And Skarner for Konsu is the last pick.
Skarner.
Ooh, giving G-Bay the Anivia. Interesting. Difficult to ban G-Bay out, I suppose, though. Once you get the Karthus off the board, you know, you've got the Anivia, the Brand, the Annie to worry about.
And now
I want to see some aggression.
Interesting setup. Yes, I called out that Vladimir for the scaling option, but Aurelia is really good at answering this Vladimir, especially with the Skarner. That's not providing that much damage. It's going to be really hard for them to burst her. And if you don't burst that Aurelia, she gets the 4 stacks, and then she just starts running the fight. You get a Whitsound on her, you get a Jack Show on her, right? She's going to be really tanky, able to survive any sort of Vladimir burst. And that is just going to be a menace on the side. As we saw last game, she was destroying plenty of towers, but the problem was it was just falling apart elsewhere. But now you have a Nivea wave clear, you have Kane scaling, you're getting messy in the fights, right? Being really obnoxious. Jinx able to rocket down waves to stall for this Aurelia, or just getting excited, of course. So really like what I'm seeing out of the Tier 2 draft. I think fantastic bans and then fantastic pickups for the Jinx 1P, denying it away and then taking the Kane before it gets banned. I really do think if this goes to Game 3, Weenie Hut Juniors need to think about that Aurelia ban. I really like the Vladimir, but letting the Aurelia through to me is really dangerous.
Yeah, we got a front row view sort of at the end of that game to just how confident 1010 feels on this Aurelia when he, so valiantly saved the Nexus. I would certainly be afraid of whatever's happening in this top lane.
Now, it really does, to me, a lot will be about, because if you just play this game slow as Anivia, right, you take it really slow, you just ulti waves, you make sure that you're not getting caught out, it's really hard for enemy team to play. You can mess up Skarner E with your W really easily, just like Q him as well when he's trying to come towards you. Only Leona is going to be able to really get anything going, and even just a Anivia wall pre-buffered when on a Leona ult, it's going to make it really hard. Other than that, it's really hard to get this game really going for Red Side, despite the fact that you were probably the aggressor, right? And that's really annoying for you to say, right? You're Aphelios, Seraphine, Vladimir, Skarner, and now you're like, oh damn, if we let this one go long, it's going to be really hard. But you just don't have the tools, and so a lot's going to depend on Busk having a stellar performance on that Leona, just making 2v2 advantages on bottom. And I think the main thing for me, I said it with G-Bay's performances on the Anivia's tournament haven't looked hot, but G-Bay as a player loves being aggressive, loves being in the driver's seat, but it needs to take the chill pill. I think one of the main things I'm going to watch out for this game, it's going to be really important, is whether or not this Anivia is just trying to be aggressive, trying to find the kills, and giving opportunities for fights that just shouldn't happen. Because she wants to get something going. But instead, G-Bay will have to take a little bit of chill pill or break out that Anivia knowledge and really smurf it, show us that the Anivia is to be feared and must be locked away again.
I mean, honestly, after that rousing sort of statement from Ro, now you really got to wonder if these players have got the stream up. I could use that kind of pep talk for sure.
Stella will be like, hold up, I know I just banned you from the stream, but
Get back in here.
Yeah, maybe you
Please
guys might want to
get
sit in
get
for
back
this
in.
one.
Like,
Circle
you've
up.
missed out on some quality content, so you got to come back for that one, surely, and
If
then
you don't
banned
get that one-
afterwards.
Yep. You gotta come back for that one. You gotta remember the part where he said stellar performance. Yep. Talking about me.
Of course.
It's known for my excellence on the Leona.
Isaiah, know what you mean.
We like to have fun here.
Of course. What else would we be doing if we weren't having fun? That would be a shame.
We'd be.
But yes, Aurelia, even as early as the level 1, the level 2, easily can find a kill on that Vladimir without Pool, and Pool having 25 or so, I don't know the exact number, Coach Lol or something, I don't know. Cooldown, you get it out once, you go back onto that Vladimir. We'll see what summoner spells Petty loads in as well, because if you got the Ghost and the Flash, you got a little bit more safety, but I'm thinking it's probably going to be something more like the Flash and the TP, or even the Flash Ignite if we want to be aggressive. But it is actually, I did call out that Ghost and the Flash and the Phase Rush. He's not a stranger to the matchup, knows that he's going to need that if he wants to try and survive, but I'm still worried about him. 1010, very importantly, did not take Ignite in this matchup. I would have loved to have seen some very aggressive, some very aggressive Aurelia gameplay, getting that Ignite, going forward, trying to get that advantage on Pethy, putting the Vladimir down before any nonsense can really happen. But playing a slow game, okay by me as well. I've said as well, I think it is Weenie Hut Jr.'s job to get something rolling. But I've said it before, G-Bay not taking that slow angle, taking the Ignite, wants to be aggressive in this mid lane, and likely can do it, right? It's up to G-Bay to have that good mechanical prowess, get the walls down, and if you have a flashless Seraphine, very little she can do to just, as she gets walled into the Anivia ultimate and slowly kill it, especially if Kane's around. So we'll see if there is the mid-kingdom being built up by G-Bay, but not for a little bit, because there's a pause.
Now comes the pithy pause. And it genuinely was. I'm seeing Pithy Pez to put on socks.
He's also the reason we had the delay earlier in the draft starting. It's just always Pithy Paws every single time without fail.
It just wouldn't be a series.
Prophesize as good or bad for Weenie Hut Jr. Fortuitous or?
I think Petty Paws in middle game obliterate enemy team and mental, but beginning game's a bit more ambiguous. So I think the Petty Paws is a 1v9 tool for shattering the enemy team's concentration. At 30 minutes, you simply call a pause and then say, haha, Petty Paws, guys. Isn't that tragic? That they had to be called away from the computer. Now you'll sit there for 5 minutes and forget what you were doing. But early game, not as much going on. Easy to remember where you were. Maybe as a result of some lost concentration, there's not any level 1 shenanigans, but wasn't really expecting any in the first place. As we said, not really that aggressive early game on either team, right? Lots and lots of scaling going on, and that's why it feels bad to be the aggressor, because you're like, I don't really want to invade early. That sounds really dangerous and hard. But if I'm not invading early, if I'm not being out of the lane kingdom, then how am I getting that advantage? How am I pressing the game forward? But we'll see exactly how they do go about it. We'll see if they can actually get something going, or if they're the aggressor at all. Maybe it turns out that Nivea tries being aggressive, Kane getting in the jungle. We'll see.
A little bit of friendly
sucks.
chatter there in the team
Teddy
chat.
ganked IRL.
On the phone to support for his free trial, eh?
I love how we would
Curious.
normally like hide the chat. Don't pretend it doesn't exist, but instead it's the entertainment, the live entertainment.
They are our entertainment, and so if they're not playing the game, they better be providing us content in other ways.
I see.
Make them do a little dance.
Okay. What else? Don't really expect anything out of bot lane. I don't think these players are particularly aggressive, and they're not playing particularly aggressive champions. Yes, Rel and Leona, more going forward, more kill murder, but I don't think that it will actually lead to anything too explosive down there. Especially even defensive summoner choice you see over there, Cleanse on the Jinx. She's not looking to do anything. She's just looking to deny Leona the opportunity. Meanwhile, on mid, definitely Jibe can get aggressive, can get some stuff going. Hello, Mento Mori. We're talking about you as well, as it turns out. So
Not that
Mento
you
Mori
should know that. You should know
should
that.
be should be careful. And then jungle, Skarner can definitely get stuff going. You find your way into a gank. Maybe someone's a bit overextended. Maybe you do the kidnapping, and it's everything's great on that line, but not too much. Not a great jungler for doing stuff early game. Just can do it if he's got an opportunity.
Here we go.
And then of course Kane going to be more of a farming up rather than looking too aggressive in the other game. But top lane, mid lane, definitely the two places to watch out. Pethy with a very defensive setup should be fine to keep himself safe. But mid lane, much less of that defensive setup, so maybe that's where the action will happen. You are trying to make this happen, but I believe the difficulty you're going to encounter is that they paused again, Moya.
Great. Oh.
It might be the cause of the delay, but
now
we're all running, so should be okay. But yes, finally getting into the action. Eyes on mid, eyes on top. That's what I want to see. Lots of action from GB, from 1010. Ideally, JB takes a chill pill, doesn't risk his life, but it's not much of a life to risk. If you're not going and making sure the owner's not roaming on you, Skarner, Seraphine, pretty hard to kill, right? Not much damage going on there. Only CC and not particularly great guaranteed CC. Lots of outplay potential there. So see how it goes.
Relatively peaceful start here.
Yep. Effect of the pause coming through. Big damage coming on
eBay
Jibe
eats
straight
the
up.
double Q.
Yeah. And misses the Q as well. Not a great start for someone who we want to see perform in this game.
Absolutely. Ooh, Aurelia.
There's
Goes
the
for a little
damage
jump
about
in.
to come through, and this is what I mean. You get an Aurelia on you, and it hurts.
She stacks
And
up.
there's the phase rush actually procced, and that's interesting because Aurelia actually could have just gone on to Petty there and burned probably Ghost, but decides to keep it. And there's the E. Oh, no E comes through Aurelia, and I want to see it more aggressive than this. Petty kind of giving those angles to get more aggressive for the Aurelia, but Prince not quite taking them. I want to see just a little bit more bloodthirstiness from him.
Absolutely. Look how quickly they've shoved this lane in here in the bot.
Yeah, it does go in on the first wave, second wave actually. It does go on the second wave. And Rel swapping to other W, interesting. Might signal that there's some aggressiveness to come, or maybe just wants the defensive option in case they dive or the like, but so far so peaceful really. Nice little trade on mid, but Seraphine does have the push. Jibe choosing not to play for the push instead. Seraphine dumping all of that mana in as it will land. Oh, pool actually goes on to nothing. Very important that that's down for quite some time. And Seraphine, no mana is going to be unable to prevent Jibe from pushing in. It might even be a lethal opportunity with how low she is soon. Ignite available on Anivia and the Thunder Lords. Or the Electrocute. Sorry, my bad.
Oh my god, back in his day.
Yeah, back in my day. I still call it... Bro, I still call it Thunderlords, and everyone's just like, "What's Thunderlords, man?" I'm like, is it really that different? Is it really that hard to figure out what I'm talking about, man? Like, man.
To be fair, I started thinking about Volibear, and I was like, there's no, like, what are you talking about, like, Anivia being, like, a Freljordian god? Like, she's gonna ring up Ornn on the phone?
Kane's actually up here. The pool gets expended, and the phase rush will be completely fine, I'm almost certain.
W, big damage.
There's damage coming down, but nothing too crazy.
The flash in.
Oh, speaking of the aggressive,
Here
it's
comes
Anivia, and speaking of the aggressive
great wall, yeah.
roams, the wall is nice, but there's a very tanky Leona, and I think you need to be a bit more aggressive with the exhaust usage, with all of this. They're actually still looking for the fight. Anivia are going to go for the regank, and there is the ghost burnt from Vladimir.
Here's the Scanner.
They're looking for this fight, but I'm not so sure they can take it. Anivia is the focus for now, but Anivia
Rel is gonna fall.
has that egg still, and here's the get excited, and they're going to be able to get the stun onto the Felios. Very close fight, really, and the egg goes down.
Great E.
Still, damage can come down from this Jinx, but as
Very late Kane.
Petty
Keep this fight
flashes
going, might be
forward.
able to kid.
Petty flashes forward, gets executed by the tower. Just a quick little screenshot. Just we get teleported up there to see it. As
Thank
man,
you, directed camera.
and this is kind of what I was talking about, right? Like, if you play this game slow, it's really nice for blue side, but Anivia getting really, really aggro, trying to make stuff happen, and
You can
yes,
play
it's
with the
pretty
flash.
good.
Catches
Ooh,
Felios.
yeah, still
and the
flash
W.
on
He's so
Jinx.
slowed.
Yep, and no summoners for this Leona, no W either, I believe, and so we'll slowly get taken
It's
out
a war,
for a
yeah.
double kill for the Jinx, and that's gotta feel good.
Absolutely. Here's this Jinx winding up. Scarily early here for Weenie Hut Juniors.
Yep, no
They definitely
summoners
wanna be
on
afraid.
Petty. Oh, also a big CS loss on Petty.
Absolutely.
Struggling. We'll get a lot of damage off of that,
And here's
and
the
the pool is
aggression
down.
you were perhaps hoping to see from Tintin.
Yeah, I love to see the aggression. And I want to see more of that aggression with the ultimate available. No summoners on Petty, no pull on Petty. I want to see this guy eat it right here.
Absolutely. We
like-
want to turn him into a pool of blood before he gets blood pull back.
It's so true. As Rel is here to
Rel
gank
on
and
mid
does
lane.
hit the stun. And that will
Seraphine
burn the
flashing.
Seraphine.
Aurelia. Here's the aggression
Oh,
with his stun.
it's not exactly what I'm looking for. I wanted that aggression, looking really aggro with the ultimate while there's no flash, no pull, no ultimate on the Vladimir, but The opportunity's there, but isn't taken. Will just move on to the next stage of the game.
Rel rejoining the bot lane here.
Yeah, Leona looking for something aggressive, but still both summoners on Jinx. Neither of them expended in those previous fights, so still has them and is more than happy to use them. Here is the Aurelia looking aggressively. Here's the blood pool down again, but kind of stuck next to the tower, and a huge empowered Q coming in for Vladimir, getting all that help back.
In the mid lane, Seraphine now with those faded ashes burning up the wave.
With this early lead,
Giving her the opportunity to shove it and maybe back.
the early lead that Jinx has, she has a BF sword already that's going to really easily allow her to get her items back.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The
feels so
Yintels on
lovely.
early. Yintels can often be a hard item to buy first if you don't have the right amount of gold for a BF sword on your first back, but a double kill will make that easy for Jinx.
Absolutely, blood pull down again. Aurelia.
Yeah, there
with the
it
ultimate.
is.
Oh, and here's the
And
aggression.
there's still no summoners, but Aurelia gives up the
So
game.
much
Doesn't want
damage.
to look for that kill. There's no phase rush. There's no summoners. There's no ultimate on Vladimir, but doesn't go the whole 9 yards. And now it just
Maybe
looks
go-
bad. No mana on Aurelia
Look
and
how-
health disadvantage.
Yeah, the healing. It's come through from this Vladimir.
It's only going to get
Oh,
worse.
Anivia's
Aurelia
on
sticking
her way,
around,
though.
waiting for the Anivia. But the phase rush is
Out
going to
comes
come
the
through
blood
the pool, and it's just
The
too
Q going-
hard.
Far too quickly, but out comes the wall and a great slow from Anivia ultimate.
The Thunder
They
Lord
Yeah.
are
draw.
find a kill in the top lane.
I was talking about landing those walls, right? They weren't landing. They were just off before, but in this game has been doing quite well with the walls. It's happening. And in the end, not having someone else on the Vlad is indeed enough, right? Something else that's happening with all this fighting on top. Yeah, Vladimir's fighting back and it's chill, but 40 CS, 8 minutes for this Vladimir. Not by far the smallest in the game. Jinx also pretty low by comparison, but we'll be popping this this wave. Actually, there's a bit of fighting instead of the minions being focused. But yes,
In the meantime,
Something
Out
also-
here in the bot lane.
yeah, looking for something here. Trying to be a bit cheeky about it. Like I said, it's a bit hard to do anything very standard, right? And so what you're left with is doing something like this, being a lot more cheekier with what you're doing, how you're approaching the gank angles, because there's just no other way to make it happen. But in the end, it will just be a Stunner recalling in lane. As this isn't even pushing into the Stunner, right? It's pushing out. And here's the Seraphine I was talking about.
Here.
Not much that they had to do, rather just take it and then just get killed. It's
Good
exactly
route,
what
but
I was
unfortunately
saying.
Not enough.
Yeah, no stun to stop the Anivia ult, right? You have to use the Seraphine ultimate, otherwise the ultimate just keeps going and it's just impossible to escape for a Seraphine. I said I wanted to see the Anivia do well, and it's been roaming aggressively, looking for stuff, getting the kills, getting the walls in the right places, exactly what I was talking about.
Forcing the blood pool once again. A frustrating situation must be for the both of them.
Yeah, and just 10-10 needs to be far more aggressive on the blood pools. Like, once you burn it, right, then go all the whole 9 yards. And they did it before. They went for the ultimate, but they didn't full commit the whole way, and that's what you have to do in order to punish that cooldown.
Absolutely. An interesting situation in the top lane, potentially brewing, but it looks like T2 are going to pull away from it.
I hate this, by the way. This is awful, what Anivia is doing here. This is atrocious.
Yeah, we'd like to know what the plan is.
The general gist, right, is that if they go aggressive on you or if Skarn is there, you get the counter gank off. But I've said this before, blue side definitely just are really chill, having a really nice mid matchup, really nice top matchup, and scaling up to the game. But Anivia is sacrificing CS, sacrificing the mid push, especially when Kayn is even just doing grubs, right? It's like a strange time to be investing into the bottom. And now you see Anivia's late to this fight when she could easily just prevent it altogether.
Absolutely, a potentially dangerous spot for them to be in as the Seraphine ult comes out, unfortunately does miss, giving Aurelia potentially an opportunity to clean up here. But she's doing no damage to the Skarner.
And this is, oh my god, that was
eBay flashing
okay.
afterwards gets the kill. Now he turns to Vladimir, who does not have blood pool, giving the thumbs up.
Okay, like
But he wants it. It misses the wall.
the outcome ends up being fine, but like that was kind of crazy, man. That what I just watched was crazy. I can't believe what I watched, but that's okay. It ends up being a 2 for 2. I think 2 grubs went the side of red side. I think.
2 to blue,
Not
1
really
to red.
sure. 2 to blue, 2 to blue. Oh yeah, up the top. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I see you.
5 grubs for T2.
So it's a 2 for 2 as well. Really can't be too picky. You can't be too mad at that outcome if you are T2. But I certainly think there was a lot of optimizations to be made. For now, Kane just sticking around. They're trying to make something happen. We'll just go into the Philios. Has flash available, by the way. It only gets expended quite late, and will just mean that falls down immediately. Jinx excited. We'll just mop up with Leona as well for a double kill. Excellent work from the T2 side. I don't think you can check,
No,
unfortunately.
very sad.
But almost certainly getting near to form, if not already
Become Shadow Assassin.
available.
How
Yeah, so
convenient
Shadow
that he would ping
Assassin.
it for us. Almost too convenient.
But I think we'll likely go for the Darken, and we'll be already progressing towards that with some of the extra points that just got, and then a maximum of 3 minutes or so to get that. But it actually does have the Voltaic Cycle Sword, so no, I think I am wrong. We'll go to the blue? No intention of doing that. We'll be going red K in this game, which is curious. But anyway,
He is known for building some weird Kane builds.
that is true.
The Jinx ult up top
This
has not
is
hit.
known. But yes, here is the dragon. Almost certainly will be the next point of focus. Kane, yep, moving quick towards that. They know that they don't have either summoner onto Aphelios, and Aphelios actually mounting quite a good CS lead, despite, as you said, Jinx having that good early game, having the early BF sword, and getting all these kills, but just Aphelios being the one commanding the lane state this whole time. There's the dragon falling down immediately after those chickens, and 2 dragons for the side of T2. Have to be feeling pretty good about that one. And Pethy showing his expertise in the matchup. 10-10 having a good early game, yes, and Pethy just being aggressive, knowing to W on every single Aurelia cast, and then now being the one making that advantage, but mid lane not looking so good because there's a wall still to come, and there it is, E comes through, and I told you this matchup, it could easily be rough if Memento Mori wasn't careful, and it's exactly what's happening now. As the second he walks into G-Bay, it's immediately punished. And as I said with the Skarner, it's so hard to get onto the Anivia. You have wall, you have the Q. It's really going to be a tough ask making Anivia come to pay for her actions in this game, and it will really be on G-Bay to take aggressive positioning and to put themselves out of position rather than to have Weenie Hut Juniors jump on Anivia in any sort of way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is the exact position that we're not surprised to find G-Bay in. This sort of state is where he thrives.
That second dragon from earlier also giving over feats to T2. Team already in
Yeah, I think feel pretty good about that one.
Yeah, Kane with those super swifties. And Anivia as well.
Swifties are just dominant boots at the moment.
And if we check the game timer, we know that Shadow Assassin is ready about 13 minutes. On that next recall, we will be seeing the Darken hitting the Rift. Of course, big power spike for the Kane. And this might actually be a kill right now because the stun's going to land. Huge play by 10-10. And Pethy uses both summons, the ultimate, and still dies. And this is what I mean about the Aurelia matchup. She can just get on you and threaten, and look at Aurelia's health. It's not threatened at all by the Vladimir damage. And it's only going to get worse as we see Aurelia pick up a Wit's End, Aurelia pick up the Jack Show. Killing her is going to be a real tough thing to do if there's no Aphelios involved. And even the Mercury Treads, getting that movement speed up, getting the magic resist, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, absolutely. This Aurelia is looking scary by the minute. We can see T2 sort of start, creeping forward, extending their dominance over the Rift. And I mean, you look at the two compositions. The situation is only going to get better for T2. She says.
We're stuck on 10-10. Moya.
Oops. Directed camera.
That's all good.
Well.
Yeah. He'll direct the camera in a moment. Oh, okay.
Velio's in alcove, and he's just caught.
He's slowly killed by Zenivia, but killed nonetheless, as Van actually is the one to take the kill. We'll see. Yeah, it was actually a lot of knocking on that mid tower. Seraphine actually just able to take it off. Huge deal, by the way. Really don't want to see that as Zenivia. Just makes it a lot easier to get those flanks on Nivea, get her out of position. Definitely not worth this roam at all. And this is the kind of thing with the Jibe style a little bit, is I love the aggressive roaming, and some of it was good. I called out that one which was very misplaced in my opinion, but you can't keep doing these aggressive roams at 18 minutes because your mid tower just falls for no reason, right? And this is where you have to take it back a little bit, and this is why I was scared of Jibe outplaying himself, right? Rather than just playing slow, letting Anivia be an absolute menace this game. Instead, Anivia over roaming, letting the towers fall, perhaps catching themselves out.
Flash from Felios and the Seraphine ultimate. With the Skarner from behind.
They're positioning aggressively up, and Jinx actually ends up getting caught out by Leona as well. It will take a long time, but eventually will slow. And this is why I'm... Oh, there's an Aurelia really looking for it, and will get onto the Aurelia, slowly kill him, but very aggressive. Very aggressive.
In the process.
A 1v1 in a 1v5.
Yeah,
a 1-4-1 in a 1v5.
Honestly speaking, I really respect it. I think there was an angle there where you go completely mental, but unfortunately, ults 4 people and then Q's the one guy not ulted and can't use Q anymore. So not the start of the fight that you really want, but really nice otherwise.
We do see Tintin ping his ping there, 108 milliseconds, perhaps frustrated.
But yes, this is what I mean, right? They're completely safe. There's no threat on them, but they position forward for that mid lane tier 2 and end up Anivia is able to get caught, and Jinx has to use both sums and then still gets caught by a Leona, right? Because you're so far forward when you just don't have to be. And this is what I'm really scared of this T2 roster, is they're going to look for these aggressive plays and end up getting themselves caught out.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm terrified of.
Unfortunate for that Seraphine, they're burning the flash, unable to get away from the Kane.
Will allow T2 to guarantee soul point.
Here's another mid lane tower falling, really not what you want to see as Anivia. It will be Aurelia almost certainly taking that top lane tier 2 in revenge, which is quite a nice trade in a general sense. It's not ideal, but but that's a no flash of Felios and no E Skarner just being murdered here.
Though, locks them up, and the follow up. They're gonna look down that Jinx. Here comes the Kane.
There's no pull on Vladimir.
And it looks like they're gonna take down the Leona as well.
Yeah, holy, I said I wanted to see these walls landing, doing well on the Anivia, showing that it has to be locked up, and what more could you ask for? The walls just keep landing, as actually there's no flash on this
Seraphine misses the ultimate.
Tries to predict the Aurelia Q, but you just can't win a Seraphine in that situation. You fire it backwards and the Aurelia holds Q, you fire it forwards, Aurelia Q's through you and dodges it. You just can't get a winning situation, and the excellent ultimate from 10-10 to make that happen, and huge stuff, really, as Pigglider does. Nice Artican, and if they will just give it up because the jungler has died.
That is not what you want to see if you are T2.
Not learning the Artican patterns has punished Pigglider heavily in this situation, and I don't think they can take Artican in revenge. One of the problems with the red side team that we've already mentioned is there's just no damage whatsoever here.
Anyways.
They're gonna try it, but they're going to tickle this guy. And here is the Aurelia TP. Here is the Anivia coming up. As long as they don't find this Anivia before Jinx, before Rel come, this is gonna be real bad, especially with a wall placed in that Tribush area. And they're looking for it. The wall comes down, as said, and it's just...
Out comes the Leona ult so early as well.
And they've been hitting this thing for 30 seconds, still 6k, and they're just gonna come and mop this up with the Kane respawn. Couldn't ask for more for T2, as Pool almost certainly gonna have to get suspended on very little. The re-engage to come.
Stun up.
Here is the Seraphine ultimate.
And the Rel comes in with
There's
the
so much damage.
metallic.
But here's the Anivia. It's gonna be
Oh my
huge
goodness.
damage. Jinx is
so
excited.
excited though.
Oh,
the blood pool.
here's the egg
Big
to come.
damage.
Egg doesn't even need to get popped. But Rel does fall. And Aracon won't go down, but it'll be at the exchange of 4 people. Can't be too upset if you're T2.
Once again, 4 down, 4 Weenie Hut Juniors. And you made such a good point there. All of that time lost to Artican.
Speaking of time lost, Dragon number 4 to come up soon. We spent a lot of time on that top side, but Dragon number 4 is spawning in but mere moments. And when that does spawn,
so scary.
exactly, the soul is coming through, and 7k gold lead. Really, really nice position to be in, and the Nivea, so scary. And I think they found a great answer to the Seraphine from Momentum Mori. Of course, you want to scale up on that Seraphine, but the Anivia is looking real scary to run that back for a game 3 if it does happen.
Absolutely.
Pushing out the bottom lane, they've got Hullbreaker on this Aurelia now as well. Someone will really need to answer her soon if they don't.
A great call out. Aurelia was already scary enough on the side with Hullbreaker. This Aurelia that was already destroying towers, it's only going to destroy it even harder, as I think Adacon's been started again, but again, they have no
Running
DPS, they
back.
tickled this thing, and Aurelia is going to take their whole base. There's already a pool on the Vladimir, he's got no hope, and it's only like 10k, 8k on this Adacon, almost certainly. Yeah, there it is, it's still not even close to taking it out, and they can see it. Kane just gonna walk forward.
Scarlet out so early. Seraphine actually picks up a lot of them.
The egg gets pops, but there's an excited Jinx on the loose. There's no hope here as Aphelios is going to get cleaned up instantly as well. Oh,
Lost
very
the
low
rest of
Jinx.
them. Oh my goodness.
Very, very low, but...
Seraphine doing her best, but...
And the Articon as well, if it wasn't enough, that's an ace. There's an inhibitor going down. That's an Articon picked up. It just couldn't be worse. And even if they don't end the game, even if they don't do some crushing here, there's a soul coming up in 30 seconds. There's a Baron Nashor to take with Articon available for them. And they might just look to end the game in front of his Vladimir. Like I said about the Aurelia, look at the damage this Vladimir is doing, or rather what he's not doing. As Pool comes down, stun comes out, but they're just taking the base in front of him. And Aurelia looking really aggressive here, but again, the Nexus is just open.
The Nexus, not the
and
Vlad.
we'll just immediately move forward and take the game.
Game 3. What an incredible turnaround on the attitude from T2, can I just say, after what looked like a very troubled first match. We really saw them put their best foot forward here for the second game. It was really
Honestly,
nice to see that turnaround.
Honestly, beautiful draft adaptations. I absolutely loved it with the ban on the Udyr, the ban on the Kayle, and then the first pick on the Jinx. I think absolutely beautiful. I was so scared of them just being outscaled, and I was like, no, you can't. You probably just can't do some sort of scaling thing. But they do make the variations, and yeah, there's still the Seraphine that you're looking at, the Vladimir, but it's just not the same without that Jinx, without that Udyr. And so it's interesting because almost certainly I believe this will be Weenie Hut Jr.'s heading to the blue side. We'll see what they do choose to do. This does open up some things like the counter pick for 10-10, but we'll see if that actually matters. And some things of note, the Jinx of first pick, is that going to be through? Because they banned the Kayle last time. They don't have to do that anymore. So they can drop Kayle ban, they can keep that Udyr, they can do something like a Jinx Kayle, and I don't remember the third ban off the top of my head. Swain, maybe. No,
No, that
no,
was
it wasn't
last
Swain.
turn.
Yeah. But they have room because if you have the Kale, if you have the counter pick, you don't have to fear the Kale, because you have Nasus, you have Jax, both champions that 10-10 are more than willing to play. Really, really hard for that Kale to play out, and you can go for that scaling outlet instead of just being the person watching the other people scale in front of you. So I think that's what they will do. We'll see. Honestly, they probably do just ban the Kale. It depends what they're willing or what not willing to fight, but Seraphine gonna be really hard to pick up. You're gonna have 3P on red side, so then if you want to pick Seraphine, maybe you have to do something like holding it for 4-5 and banning it for on your 4B4-5 to prepare for it, the Anivia ban. But it's a lot more spicy because there's a lot of things going on. We're trying to avoid a lot of matchups, trying to make it happen, and a lot of tension heading into this game 3. So we'll see what they do end up prioritizing. Important things that not mentioned. I think the Busk Leona, you could probably look for something. I know Busk has been known to break out the Nautilus in the past. I don't know about the rest of the champion pool. If you wanted to, could easily flex that Seraphine, pick it up early on the draw, put the Seraphine on support instead, and then have a mid lane Syndra or the like for Memento Mori. And that would be pretty good. Petty easily, there is something that he could do here that I think would be quite good, which is just blind pick the Aurelia off of 10-10. There are some things 10-10 has, like the Jax, maybe something like a Nasus, but Aurelia is really comfortable for Petty as well as 10-10. Take that away, maybe that means you don't have to ban it in first 3. And then even the bad matchups, I think Petty would be able to navigate against 10-10 rather than having the very skilled 10-10 Aurelia. So it could be Aurelia prior moving up. I would love to see it picked up early for... I actually wouldn't. I was thinking of the blue side, but you probably want to preserve that counter pick versus Petty. It depends on a lot with these first few bans. There's a lot of moving parts, and we'll see exactly where the chips do land.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, another inspiring take from Ro. Maybe I need to rescind my ban of the players. Interesting to see the votes for the Game 3 prediction come through. T2 to finals is stacking up.
We've been told of a fun fact that T2 have never lost in a Game 3 scenario.
It'll be very interesting to see what Weenie Hut Juniors do here. They've had 2 games to learn from.
I think the main reason they lost that game too was the lack of the draft variation, not actually changing it up. So it'll be interesting to see if they can be as inspired as T2 was in game 2, to dig out some advantage, something that they're not expecting. That's where I'm coming up with something like the Aurelia to get that advantage.
How good is the Jace matchup into the Aurelia? Because Pethy has been...
Aurelia is well-known Jace counter.
Okay. So it's not something he will be picking up unless it's banned.
The general vibe of that matchup is that Aurelia jumps on you and picture it, right? Like Aurelia ults you, your Jace, you don't have like movement, so you cop it, unless you just flash like before it hits you, right? And if you don't have flash, then obviously there's nothing you can do. And then you melee, she jumps onto you because of course, right? And then you melee her away, and then you have an Aurelia cage around you. And she still has Q. So it's really hard to escape, is the general gist. And so she runs at you. She like, if you try and burst her, she has W, right? So you do classic Jace like combo, like you use Q, and she just tanks it. So killing her is hard, and running away from her is hard. So Yes, I do know the Jace is one of Pethy's preferred, but that's why I'm also advocating for that Aurelia takeaway. Because I feel like
Gives them a lot more
the
options.
Aurelia is quite good into a lot of Pethy's champions.
The
Weenie
voting
Hut
now
Jr.
5
has
votes
readied
for
up.
2. T2 to finals versus Weenie Hut Jr. Interesting to see public opinion very much in T2's favour. But there are most certainly some believers.
Yeah, I
Weenie
mean,
Hut Jr.
certainly game 2, most recent game, very much in their favor. Huge game from them. And if they keep that up, they have that momentum. It's kind of the classic, right? A question that gets brought up a lot is that if you have a team that's 2-2 in a best of 5, and you win the first 2 games and then you lose the second 2, right? Which team are you betting on? The team that just won 2 games or the team that started off the series with 2 wins? And a very common answer to that question is the team that just won twice. Because if you're the team who just lost 2, right? After winning the first 2, you're like, oh, we're so close. Oh, we can't make it happen. You've got all of that negative, like, juju, right? Like, oh, man, we just lost 2 games even though we were crushing them. Now we're getting crushed. And obviously best of 3 much more self-contained than a best of 5. But similar vibes there with the kind of the voting for T2. They got the momentum is the way that it would be put. And if they can use that momentum, then hopefully they can close it out. And it is the KO ban. I'm not so much a fan, but keeping the scaling off, I can appreciate. And I don't know what that third ban was, but easily could just see Jinx being the third takeaway here. And then this is a pretty open game, I think, after the Jinx ban comes through.
Yeah, absolutely. Same bans from Weenie Hut Juniors.
Yeah. I'm not sold on the Yorick ban. I know people don't want to verse it. Felios 1 pick really weak for me. Didn't do very much last game. Isn't that much of a threat. Whether through laning prowess or scaling. Like yes, you're not sad to have a Felios scaling in your game, but it's not very strong either. It's not oppressive. So the Kaiser is the answer. Very similar feelings with that. I'm not feeling particularly great about it, but that's okay. I want to see the cane picked up. I shouted out, of course, last time. I think you can just get a free space with the cane. Brel, of course, you're probably picking eventually, so getting it squared away now is fine. But this third pick, I really, really want to see the cane. And the thing about picking Brel is that you probably want to pick mid as well. What you can do here as Weenie Hut Jr. is pick Seraphine or something now, right? And if you want to pick Anivia into it, then you have to give up Kane. If you want to pick Kane, then you have to give up the Anivia into it, right? This type of thing, because of this draft order. So we'll see what they do choose to do, but I do think this is a bit annoying for T2 potentially on their third pick based on Weenie Hut Jr.'s selections here. And it is the Seraphine, so this is it, right? If you want to lock in the Anivia, did really well. And you even see the Mumu. It's not locked to go support, but it could be support, right? And that squares away the Seraphine flex. And so if you want to lock in the Anivia now, you give away the Kayn. And this is the problem with the Rel. But you really, really need the Kayn. I was such a fan of it. It did a lot, I think, for the last game. So seeing it fall to the wayside here as it gets banned away almost certainly by Weenie Hut Juniors. I feel like a bit of an error from T2, and Weenie Hut Juniors is definitely celebrating to see it. And there's even options because they've gotten the Anivia locked in. You can still put the Mumu jungle, put the Seraphine support, and then lock in a Syndra for mid lane and be very happy about your selections, getting a better matchup mid lane, getting a perfectly fine jungle and support, and also getting away that Kayn. But there's the other thing that I mentioned before. I want to see the Aurelia locked away potentially. If Pethy doesn't want to play it themselves, then you get the Aurelia locked away. And the Kayn is super important, I think. Missing the Kayn here, letting Kayn go to red 4 would be a bit disastrous, to be honest. As they do lock away the Nasus, and this just means that it's just completely free R4. There's like some problems that come up with the Pink Bucket champion rule. That's fake. That's fake news. That's straight up fake news. That's propaganda on R4.
Yep.
It's going to
Hover in the
Kayn.
Twitch jungle, hover the Yuumi jungle, and then lock the Kayn.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you.
So we have Kane, right? And now the question is, what is Pethy's choice of blind? They banned Aurelia and they banned Nasus. To me, this screams Vladimir, but of course you have a very heavy AP already. Mumu locked in, Seraphine locked in. But it is indeed Vladimir. Tournament life on the line. Pethy locks it in with the 2 bans squared away to make sure that the matchup is favorable. And 10-10's Pantheon pool. 10-10's champion pool doesn't do so well into Vladimir, it's true, but you have 2 AP in your team. It makes it really hard for Vladimir to get that value versus just MR stacking. And Nivea can do things like buy a Banshee's Veil if she wants to. This is really annoying for Vladimir to try and carry with. There's a lot of pressure on Aphelios. And Xin Zhao option. And Xin Zhao goes well with something like the Seraphine. Does lock the Amumu into support. We do know that the Seraphine's going mid, but I don't like to see that Seraphine going mid. We talked about this as well. The Nivea and Seraphine, it did not look favorable. And Nivea getting so much free advantage, and Volibear is the lock. Not nearly as good a matchup into the Vladimir as you would potentially like. If Pethy doesn't play it too well, you can just blow up a Vladimir as Volibear. But I would definitely. I wouldn't be overwhelmingly happy with this matchup. You got a lot of the focus is towards early game. If you don't really blow it up, then Vladimir's probably having a pretty good time. But we'll see how it goes.
On the Thunderlord mentioned last game.
Of course.
The only question is, will there be any lethality eclipses?
There might be on Xin Zhao and the like, and. It's not nearly as strong as last game, right? You don't have the Jinx, you have the Kai'Sa instead, and you have the Volibear rather than the Aurelia. I think Volibear not Prince's best champ, and in comparison to the Aurelia, and I think the matchup is much less crushing, as well as Volibear on the side lane, not nearly as much of a tower killer and a threat. You can't just randomly jump on the Vladimir. It kind of has to be pretty telegraphed or a bit overforced. Whereas Aurelia can just on the spot, boom, drop everything, get in there, threaten your life. But certainly, this top lane matchup is not so bad, and the Kai'Sa is certainly acceptable. And you have that Kayn, you have that Anivia. The real question is Vladimir going to be much more impactful in this game? I doubt it, but they've tried to set him up with the bans. They believe in it. And then really, really looking for Xin Zhao. Skarner unable to really impact the game. Xin Zhao certainly can, right? Get much more involved, have a Seraphine backing you up, have Seraphine ripping through you, hitting as many people as you can. But it comes back to what we were talking about before with... It really feels like you're the aggressor if you're Weenie Hut Jr, right? I don't really want to be scaling up into this. I don't want, more accurately, right? I don't want to do nothing while my Seraphine just gets killed by Anivia over and over, like last game, right? Just on the 1-for-1. And so then I have to get stuff done as my Vladimir, right? I have to get stuff done as my Vladimir. I have to get stuff done as my Aphelios. So that I'm not walking into mid-game with a really fed Anivia, really annoying Anivia. Because how am I dealing with Anivia, right? Like, Amumu just has to flash Q, Seraphine just has to find ultimate. There's only really, really hard forcing options. And as I said, G-Bag loves to get aggressive, loves to position forward, and that's going to give you those moments. But I'm just really scared that nothing's going to happen in the Vladimir lane, nothing's going to happen in the Aphelios lane. If Xin Zhao doesn't get much going, then Anivia is just going to be very, very strong again, and Seraphine's going to struggle. Woo.
Yeah. Very interesting situation for these two teams to be in. Of course, the last game of the night, the last game of this best of 3 series. Winner of which going to the finals on Sunday. Be very interesting. Votes now for the two teams are still swayed towards T2 after the draft. Some of the players of T2 themselves have voted, so...
So they don't
I don't know how. I don't know how.
I don't know how. I think I know how. uh,
Interesting to see, though, how the people think the game is going to play out.
yeah. Well, it is important to note we saw Vladimir managing the Aurelia quite well last time, right? And Volibear's the same. If you let that Volibear like get on you and start owning you, it's gonna get ugly fast. So
Yeah.
if Pethy's not careful, maybe we'll just see Volibear running away with the game. That is the counter pick of choice Tenten's taken into it. But it's certainly not impossible for a Aphelios and a Mumu to get something going bot either, right? Acrimonious and Buzz can create their own advantages. And a Xin Zhao on an Anivia, a Xin Zhao on Kai'Sa, Xin Zhao's mainly looking mid, I think, is the easiest hit for him, with the Seraphine follow-up, with Jibe looking forward with Anivia not really having much movement outside of the Flash. It's definitely the easiest, but if you have a Mumu help, especially with a Mumu Ultimate at level 6, that's something you could be looking for. But we'll see exactly how it goes. And a classic as well is just, where does the action happen? Maybe as Xin Zhao, it's a bit hard to get stuff going with everyone at the beginning of the game, right? Not level 6, have flashes up, but once we see some advantages running, maybe Aphelios and Amumu do manage to get that solo kill going at level 3 or something, right? Flashes get burned. Xin Zhao still has flash. You can get something really aggressive going, get them in a really good spot to snowball the game out. And that's something to keep your eye on. Where does the action actually happen? Does Jibe flash forward for a solo kill and make it so that he's vulnerable to that follow-up gank? Keep your eyes out, because where Xin Zhao goes, how much he gets done in this early game is going to be important, because if you do have Aphelios doing nothing, Xin Zhao doing nothing, and then Vladimir gonna struggle later into the game against MR, even in the 1v1 versus Volibear, probably gonna find it pretty hard to break through once he builds a lot of MR. It's just a big, massive MR tank, whether it be through something like a Roa into Navori Quick Blades into Wit's End and random MR stuff. That'll serve more than enough with W healing to really stonewall the Vladimir. So,
And speaking of being stonewalled, here comes the Bethy Paws.
Yeah, the Pathy pause, and I think Pathy's being a little untactical this series, right? Pausing straight away at the beginning of games when he needs to be pausing around the 20-minute mark, break the enemy's mental, get them unfocused, but instead catching in the Pathy pause immediately at the start, and I just don't think it's particularly good tactics. Needs to figure that one out if he's going to make the most of the Pathy pause.
Just like to bring attention to the fact that we do have the Thunderlord Volibear skin on, called
Oh,
Early
the
That's awesome.
Thunderlord Volibear skin. Wow,
That's awesome.
what a coincidence. What an interesting coincidence.
Yeah, guys. Real mature.
Yep. Walking top, maybe mistaking this for an AREF game.
And this is really good. I really like this. I talked about look where the action happens, and this is something you should really look to do. Okay, I want to put Vladimir behind. Okay, I want my Volibear to be in a really good spot. Let's go top. Let's find Vladimir. Let's burn that flash early game. Even you can do something like burn a Rel flash, right, to trade Vladimir's flash, and then boom, you're in a really good setup. I don't like that they're not looking for the Vladimir. Yes, they go and they get Volibear in a really good spot, but I really wanted them to keep looking, find someone, burn the Rel flash, and then just have a really nice setup for their Volibear. But instead, it will just be them chasing out this Vladimir. Not too much going on. They do drop a ward. Kind of interesting what's going on.
Ward for
Tenten
ward.
looking down. Another ward gets dropped. Suspicious amount of wards have been expended now. And that will be the Thunderlord's proc on Seraphine. Already not what you want to see. Minus 200 HP to start a lane that I've said I think is going to be very rough.
Yeah, shame we didn't get to see any action in the top lane, but it could be forgiven. More damage here by the Anivia, so aggressive.
Yeah.
Jibe knows what he needs to do.
Electrocute wasn't up, so didn't go for the extended trade, but we'll go for it next time he gets an opportunity. You do not worry. Level 2 gets hit, but stun doesn't land, so nothing too much going on.
You need a little bit of peace here
Yeah, it is
in
a
this
little bit
early
pace.
game.
Very curiously, Volibear getting pushed in despite them all going to the top lane, despite Volibear definitely having some very scary threat onto his Vladimir, perhaps just waiting for the level 3. Doesn't think he really threatened Volibear meaningfully until that level 3 spike with all 3 of the abilities laid on top. But of course, Vladimir will have pool by that time. No phase rush, importantly, on the Vladimir though. So as trade is actually happening top, speaking of that, and huge damage coming down has no doubt hit all of the abilities a moment ago. And Pethy actually messing up this kiting won't get the empowered Q. It's actually a really big deal because this Volibear has threat of killing if Pethy's not careful.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of these teams, of course, need to be playing so carefully because this is the last game of the series. You don't have a one-loss buffer between you and, elimination.
Volibear probably wants to try and get its wave in and leave at this point. Bit harder to access this Vladimir.
Seriously,
Petty's
no
actually
cost.
using a lot of HP on these E's, it should be said. Very, very scary. Can just push this wave in and leave. No worries here for
You're
the
going for the jump.
Yep.
Oh, and actually lets the kill come through.
Flashing!
Very,
Oh my
very,
goodness!
very telegraphed from the
Sums.
Vladimir. I think 1010 just not nearly respecting nearly as much as he should be. Definitely could have been far more disrespectful as well, but then respected for a long time and then just didn't see the kill angle when needed to be respectful. This is much more comfortable for the Vladimir, I think. Just getting pushed in. It will just be sunshine and rainbows. Good start for the Vladimir. I said, yeah, maybe you don't expect there to be action top lane, but if it does happen, where does it happen? The flash is being burned, like, keep your eye on them, and that's exactly what I mean. Vladimir getting ahead this early on, great stuff for the Vladimir.
Yeah, totally. The Xin Zhao showing up top as well. Giving the Vladimir that opportunity to recall. Of course, no teleport on him. He's got to walk all the way back to lane. And a very perhaps uninspiring bot lane here.
Yeah, and like I said, I didn't expect anything to happen here, and it's exactly turning out that way. Mid lane, not so much happening yet, but level 6 is when we saw Murtamori start to die, because that's when you get the Glacial Storm. You actually have kill threat on the Nivea. You get a good Glacial Storm, you get a good Glaciate, and suddenly Seraphine's in dire straits.
For a lane of
Absolutely.
not much happening in the bot lane, there is an Aphelios with double Kaiser's CS currently.
Yes.
Yeah, we did see something similar to this in the previous game as well, where Aphelios was dying on repeat to that Jinx, right? But then having a huge advantage nonetheless. Oh my, did you see that that auto? It's kind of crazy.
Just stood there.
There's no pool, importantly, no flash either on this Vladimir. He's a dead man walking, I'm going to be honest with you. We'll see if they can actually capitalize on the fact that this guy is definitely not supposed to be alive, but we'll see.
He's the Kane, but it's not backing off all the way just yet.
This guy is like so dead, by the way.
Here comes the flash. The knock up.
We waited for Pool to come back up. That wasn't our finest move, but it just does not matter. And he's just dead. And that's what I was talking about, right? Flash comes down on the Vladimir. Okay, let's kill that guy, right? What is he gonna do when we Volibear flash ultimate on his head? And the answer is nothing. We're going to die. So they're trying to make something happen bottom, but again, as like I said, I just don't expect anything really to occur, and nothing is indeed occurring. And importantly, this is Xin Zhao, level 5, no action, right? And this is what I was talking about, the summoners. Yeah, the summoners have gone down on top, but that allowed Kane to get something done. But Xin Zhao still struggling to really find somewhere to go, somewhere to be in this game. And speaking of this mid matchup, and the wall coming through in but a moment. Yep, there it is, and the flash burned. And now that's a dead Seraphine. Next time the wall is up and a Kane is around, that is for sure. As there's actually an attempt on the Aphelios, will just be flash, full flash, and that's a great flash for flash. Because now there's so much it's so easy to get onto this Aphelios at any point you want to. It's actually no matter on this, Anivia really needs to take the base, but after the base, no flash Seraphine, fresh. Anivia on the map, actually looking for the lethal now, and just will get it. Perfect amount of mana remaining. I was saying he needed to take a base, but turns out just has the exact amount of mana to do the required spells and finish it off. And is that a blue buff on the Anivia from the kill on the Seraphine? Or am I just imagining that?
For the Volibear. The ignite goes out, but I mean the Kane's here as well. Even with the blood pool, Volibear might need to back off.
Oh,
here.
And heals off the W just enough to live. And there's a Vladimir Q coming up. This Kane needs to be faster, but it manages to get it.
Oh, but Xin Zhao with the flash.
Oh. And it's a close exchange of a lot of stuff, but in the end, what do you get, right? Xin Zhao exchanges that flash, that important tool, to just trade Volibear, but the wave goes in, Volibear loses nothing, and you have to feel pretty okay with this exchange. Now Anivia has that threat of that Xin Zhao much lesser on her. She can feel much more comfortable playing up onto this Seraphine, and it's just it's better than nothing, that's for sure. But it's feeling pretty good if you're T2, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, getting to 3 kills, pocketing that feat of strength. Just gonna come down to first tower now. As to who gets their cool, shiny boots.
See where we go here. Again, Seraphine's flash not going to be up for quite some time. And this Anivia, I'm definitely fearing for Seraphine's life. As we actually have Anivia, I think, looking on a bottom room. And I said it before, I'll say it again, I don't like this. You have all of that good, juicy stuff mid. You're going after this bottom lane that still have their flashes, and so of course they're gonna flash. What did you put all of this investment into? Why did Seraphine be able to get her recall off for free? Why did you lose a full mid wave, right? It's this aggression that needs to be put into the members that you can actually kill, rather than going down, investing all that time just for a flash.
Yeah, absolutely. What he said. Yup. What he said.
They even just get their push in. You called it out before, but again, holy mackerel, that is a 54 CS Kai'Sa. Just absolutely terrified of hitting the wave. I'm not sure what's going on there, but they certainly don't want to be a liability in this game 3, it seems, and they'll do that at any cost. They're paying in gold.
We've got Voltaic up for this Kane now. Gonna be looking for the Seraphine, who still has no flash.
Yeah.
Sniffing around, they'll definitely want to pocket 3 more grubs as well.
As speaking of people with no flash, there is no flash onto the Xin Zhao. And
he just comes out. Kane ultimate. He's gonna finish him off. In comes the Vladimir though. Kane's taking a big bit of damage. He's gonna go back in though. And how comes the Seraphine ultimate?
There's no flash on the Seraphine. The wall comes through. I think did actually prevent her from moving through. She just died.
One's a boomer here. T2 won't be mad at that.
Wait, the wall's gonna come up soon. Not soon enough though to kill off this Amumu, it seems.
Oh, getting a bit of damage in. Out comes the wall.
But unfortunately not stuck in the Nivea ultimate. Either it didn't come up early enough or just wasn't an option. So yes.
I mean, pinging his darkened form looks like once again he's ended up with enough points for Shadow Assassin.
Yeah, and Shadow Assassin is really good in both of these games, but the red form is, of course, the safer option, the easier option. But both of them, both red and blue, just really, really nice. You're feeling good. You feel like you're able to dodge a lot, be really impactful into Vladimir, into Seraphine, into Aphelios, all these champions that don't have great ways of preventing you from getting onto them, and then stick an ultimate on Vladimir, hitting him in the pool, even if he tries to avoid you. Just this type of thing. Dodging really telegraphed Seraphine ultimate. It just feels really nice to be Kayn in these games, and that's why I was saying in the draft how important it was this Kayn got through. And there's actually a Vladimir immediately using pool in front.
Oh,
It gets walled off and has to flash, and that's not good. We said how important this flash was, how easy it is to kill, and you saw it as well. So having the flash down for so little, it really stings.
Yeah, Vladimir's not.
Speaking of, no pool actually on this guy.
Now.
There's no pool.
Will Volibear be able to
But there's
finish
no
it off? He doesn't
Volibear
have his
ultimate. There's no Volibear ultimate, so can't finish it off. But had the Volibear had ultimate, would have been dead on the spot. And they are starting out this dragon. Again, I said in draft, Nivea is so strong. And if you're actually choosing to run away, and this is looking really dicey for Kayn.
Great work by the Zinzao.
Yeah, we'll just be taken out, and kind of a bit of miscommunication there. Kayn actually has had the flush as well, just chooses not to use it. Definitely could have lived. So a bit strange. Anivia not wanting to take the fight, a bit too scared. And all of them trying to retreat away from Anivia. There's just a lot of miscommunication and a lot of interesting choices around that dragon. In the end, it is just losing the dragon and a member, and definitely was an unforced error.
Kaisa has got her stack shift now, so hopefully she'll be able to pick up some more CS.
Yeah, she is really struggling.
I mean, even speaking of, we said, I mentioned right at the 100 to 50 mark. Look at the gap now, right? The last 30 CS, they've been striking even. So with that static shift, might have something to do with it. With the game being a bit more chaotic recently, might have something to do with it. But if this gap doesn't continue to increase, you're feeling pretty good as the Kaiser. It's definitely not too bad a situation that you're in.
Volibear
has ultimate, but doesn't choose to use it. But this time, had the ultimate, had the pull down, I think that would have been an interesting time to try and commit full for that Vladimir. But we'll get away with it. Interesting, the last game, the Vladimir did go for that Cosmic Drive, trying to survive the one-on-one, I think. But this time, Storm Surge will be picked up nice and early, very aggressive option. And speaking of gaps in the bottom lane, the 50 CS gap, it will just be tower taken on the back of a Kaiser reset. So Aphelios, I said I wanted to see him do really well, get really strong, and it's been a bit of an unnatural way, but nonetheless he is doing that, and he will be in a spot to provide a lot to his team. But of course, the question in question is whether or not that will actually transfer to meaningful stuff.
Very interesting position here for Vladimir to be in. Not one that I would be comfortable in myself. He does get jumped by 3.
Interestingly enough, gets completely outplayed by the Archon wall. Volibear just waits behind it for an expanded period of time. Everyone runs up to the Vladimir on vision and kills the guy without flash. But it's interesting. We see the 3-kill deficit in favor of T2. But of course,
flash ultimate here.
It looks like this will just be Volibear falling. No, it will not. But the flash getting him out of there as Anivia's looking aggressively for this. Oh my god, it's again
caught.
gaming.
Oh dear.
As there's no actually Anivia had flash, but just chooses not to flash the Seraphine ultimate and will pay the ultimate price for it. I actually think was quite a favorable looking position had Anivia been able to flash that Seraphine ultimate, but instead will just be nice and easily cleaned up for Weenie Hut Jr.
And that will be feats completed for Weenie Hut Jr.
Yeah, and there's only one person with boots, but you'll take what you can get. As they are grouping up with this new looking Drift Herald to take a middle tower as well, and I mentioned before how important that was for Anivia, and has to feel pretty good to be burning through the objective and these towers. Quite nice here for Weenie Hut Jr. So it has to feel very good.
Absolutely. And they do
Kane-
get to escape out. Kane.
Oh my god, looking
going for the
aggressively for it, but
flash.
I don't know. Like, you see the damage is not that high. Kane, of course, you have to be setting up for some teammates. As Zindao actually goes in, no ultimate, no
does
flash on him,
live.
and Vladimir's trying to make it fight as well, but no pool now. Will just be slowly killed
by the
off
wall.
by the side of T2, and to me it just feels like a misidentification of the situation, right? You have these people, Kane is over forcing in, but instead of running away and continuing the run, instead we go back into them and give them those 2 kills, and it looked like it might be conversion into a middle tower, but Philios coming from the mid lane, from the top
Phillies
lane.
with the flash on
Ooh.
the Q.
Yeah, aggressive flash from Philios, wanted to make it work, but GBA also with that flash that didn't get consumed before will just easily run away and get themselves out of dodge. But a lot of interesting moments, but it all comes down to the same thing, which is that you can kind of see it's a bit hard for blue side to get the fights going unless you have that flank position, right? Given with that Anivia in the river, exactly as you said, Stella. With the Anivia's flanked, and actually they're trying to make something happen on top. I'm not so sure that something is here as the dodge. Ooh, as it does look like it will convert. And you can't be too. Oh, actually, as a moon, no flash, but no follow-up will mean that it lives another day. No flash on this village will make it very hard to defend this tower though, and so mid lane will be falling. The wall threat from Anivia here is huge. As Ophelia actually moves in, I don't think he's allowed to do that. As the wall comes through, oh, the lifesteal actually gets to live. And I don't know if Anivia wall was on cooldown, but definitely very dicey for Aphelios the way that he positioned there. And even though he didn't die, if he had died, it would have been the same. But even though he didn't die, it looks like they'll lose middle tower as a direct result of that chunk that Anivia was able to get. So feeling quite good if you're T2, you'll be able to get 2 mid towers, you're able to get the objective, that you deny the soul point. Have to feel quite nice as they're again kind of turboing, focusing on this Volibear, and Volibear trying to turn it, actually will get it. But will eventually be taken down, and I don't know exactly what Volibear is looking at yet, but I know the Rift Makers in the inventory should be indexing into some magic resist. Actually, it has already purchased that Spirit Visage, so
he
interesting
has
that.
purchased it 10 seconds ago.
Yeah, I
Did not have it for
don't
that
know.
fight.
Don't know how much MR was in the inventory before the Spirit Visage was purchased, but don't worry too much. But if he can get some MR shard to live the Vladimir a bit more, should be quite helpful. For their odds, as there's actually 3 people grouped up onto this top tower. They're trying to take it, and Nivea is moving over. Scarily enough, there could be some interaction with
great damage here.
Oh,
Forcing the flash.
Yeah, flash on Vladimir being burnt very little. It feels quite bad. It looks like they want to start this Atacon, but I said it last game, and it's still the case here. They have no damage. This is going to take forever, and you're going to have Anivia flanking you. You're going to have the Kai'Sa ultimate coming through, and they've actually found Anivia though. Anivia's gone too early and will get killed in egg. This is just absolutely not what we want to see. GBA not understanding, right, that they don't have the damage to do this. It's going to take way too long, and so now they're fighting.
Oh, but a great ultimate from Rel.
Oh,
actually, super low. Ophelia was just murdered by a combination of Atacon and the Ophelia's, the Volibear flash. And Vladimir walks up, is forced to use pull or nothing, and just immediately just gets collapsed on. So, a very strange fight overall. And Kai'Sa still has ultimate to clean the last one up. Oh my goodness.
That is an ace for fun. Once again, the mistake of trying this Atacon when, like you keep saying, Ro, they just have no one who can do a genuinely threatening amount of damage to it.
Yeah,
and it looks like we're just going to get this tier 3 mid for free.
Very, very interesting. We keep saying these kind of same patterns repeating in these 3 games 3 games that we've watched. The Otacon, the devastation happening around it, the flanks coming off of the G-Bay being too aggressive or looking too early in that last fight. And so it will really just depend, can G-Bay stay alive and be the oppressive Anivia can be. Pethy as well in that last fight. I swear I've seen so many people just walk up and then just be like, oh, I've killed myself in this series. Like, oh, wait, I actually didn't want to be in this fight. But I've walked here, and maybe it was both series, but I just swear I've seen it too many times. So getting a Vladimir onto the backline, you know, like actually with a proper Vladimir flank, this type of thing, right? Rather than Vladimir kind of face tanking, as I swear I've seen in both of these games. But we're grouping up around the Otacon. Looks like we want that tier 1 tower, but just a little bit too hard with Seraphine wave clear. And this is back to that point. We're being too aggressive, right? Anivia can stall out the game. We can play long. Instead, we're grouping 5 to position around Otacon, not even do Otacon or anything like this. Like, we can take a chill pill. Like, our side lane matchup is actually quite good just in the raw one-on-one, right? But instead, it's feels much more rushed. But now, going away from that top lane, going away from that Otacon, Dragon spawning in but a moment. See if they actually do contest it, because they're giving up a lot of space. Mid wave is T2s, and blue side is being pushed down to the bottom side of the map. It feels really rough to try and contest from here, as there's a Kayn
from the
coming
Kayn.
through.
Giving up the wall, takes a movement with him.
He's
Oh,
actually,
the flash.
it's just insane. It's just insane. It forces, actually, that's a no pull Vladimir as well for quite some time. We'll probably get it back before anything important happens, but oh my god, forces a Moo flash in the most ridiculous manner. But that's really, really big to have gone, and you can see Anivia's just walking into Xin Zhao, no fear. Yeah, bro, I go on me, I dare you. As raw Seraphine ultimate, just trying to find G-Bay. They desperately want something to happen. And Amumu goes in, finds it. There's the flank that I was talking about, but the ultimate goes wide, and he's not going for the backline as he tries to group up back with his own backliners. And you can see Kai'Sa and Anivia just perfectly fine alive. Kai'Sa comes in and is the taking out the remaining members, and it will be Pethy eventually falling down. Oh, almost gets the damage off of the E, and maybe could have traded Kai'Sa, but dies in pool. And some of the things I was talking about were present there. You have Vladimir on the flank, but doesn't commit to the flank, isn't looking for the backliners. Instead, tries to make it a front to back, goes back to his own teammates. It's not what I wanted to see.
And such important work there from the volley there, can I just say, keeping
keeping
the
diving.
team split.
Mm-hmm.
That was what we wanted to see come from Pethy.
Yeah, Volibear goes wild on those backliners, and Kai'Sa is actually able to follow up as a result, right? There's no such good grace coming from the side of Weenie Hut Jr. for Vladimir on the flank, but Kai'Sa are able to dive in and convert it. So feeling quite nice for them. Oh, Xin Zhao actually quite close to stealing that, but Rel is the one who collects it with the last hit. And stealing away that soul point again feels quite nice. And speaking of DPS, blue side don't really have that much, but you know who does? I've seen Anivia, I see Kai'Sa with a Ginsu's almost certainly. I'm certain, but I don't know. Yeah, there it is. And they can shred through a Baron Nashor, they can shred through an Otacon, and there's even a Volibear TP in a very strange place. As this is actually, very nice. Amumu looking for it, and Seraphine gone as well, but I actually really would have liked to see Kayn really force that issue with getting the Seraphine ultimate, with baiting for the team. And here you can see the Anivia aggressively positioned, as I said. Oh, and Volibear flashing the backline again. No summoners on this Aphelios, but now all of the members of T2 have come back from this Xin Zhao actually. And so it is the Xin Zhao that's traded for the Volibear. Rel ends up falling. Mumu ult goes wide as Kayn flashes forward. And there is an ultimate to come from this Kai'Sa. Oh no, actually she doesn't have it up. Just kidding. So will just be, that is the end of it. But very low on Seraphine, very low. mid range on the Aphelios, and still
Yeah,
a
that was a
very
very
strong.
difficult fight for both those teams.
Oh, this is going to be a lot of damage coming down. Yeah, that is the all of that damage coming down. They will not be pushing any longer, as Jibe will be threatening quite a lot now. And speaking of, this is where you can be a bit cheeky. You have Kai'Sa and you have Anivia alive. You can do something like look for a Baron off of this reset, as you see Weenie Hut Jr. is going towards the bottom side. Whether or not they do something like that, bit ambitious, but they are just clearing out the vision using the time rather than just rushing a Baron Asher. They are just clearing out the vision. Very respectable. I like it. They will probably just take a reset in mere moments time.
Yeah,
There's something I called out, but I'm not sure I'll see. I would love to see like a null matched mantle purchased by Anivia here. Is something you could do. But it will just be 2 control words picked up for that Anivia on the base. No magic resist on the Kayn of note as well. He does not need it, evidently. Very important spike on Kai'Sa. Nash's Tooth with the W upgrade. Now she'll be able to get that poke off very, very nicely. And there is the Baron Staff that I was talking about. Anivia DPS, no joke. And they're trying to instead bait it. They think that they'll walk in, and I think by golly, they're right. Not quite getting it, but they're going to get a Vladimir instead of the...
Oh, the Q goes out late.
They give up the game, but they might still have enough to get an Amumu for their troubles.
Goes for the ultimate, but just picked off.
And that's enough, I think, for them to do this Baron Asher pretty safely. With a Mumu down, the Flash of Mumu was a real threat. And there's the flank from the Vladimir. Will just be taking his Blast Cone in and then doing a lot of damage. If he's not careful, he will get CC'd up and murdered on the spot, though. So this is a bit dangerous, as here it is. He's looking for it.
But great ultimate from the Seraphine this time.
Is that ultimate? Baron Asher does go down with Kayn's dying breath. And the 2 carry's still alive, and it's going to be really hard to get onto this Anivia. The Q actually goes wide on Anivia.
But it's actually a 3v3 here as T2 breaks
this will be really hard. Oh my goodness!
A crazy wall! And in comes the Kai'Sa!
And the Archon, as you say, doing work. Laying down the pain. Actually does tank a Kai'Sa W. Will be on cooldown for quite some time as a result, but... almost killed off the Seraphine as well with the help of that Archon.
A very strange turn of events there at the end of that fight. But T2 does walk away with that Baron buff still on the Kai'Sa and the Anivia. And of course, all the golden XP that comes from it.
Positioning for the Archon again with Dragon coming up soon. I don't care about it, everyone is still 2 dragons off slow.
Yep, and T2 actually do have the damage to be able to take this objective. Especially when that Kai'Sa shows up.
By the way, and look at the CS gap, 50 CS. Yep. We said we want to see that keep consistent, and it has. At some point, you just farming becomes easier, not immediately in front of Aphelios the whole game. And there's a lot of towers being taken. They're gonna just keep pushing on the top side with an Archon buff as well. Like they have no fear. They're just gonna push in, and they could easily put a world of hurt onto the base here with an open inhib no less as well. What is this? I hate this. I've Archon and Baron buff, and I'm like, when I take the tower, I must leave. That is not real. All right, no worries. It's okay. They don't want to take it then.
I suppose they have some gold to spend, but
they probably have something they want, but there's just no way you don't try it. It's just always worth, because if you mess it up, then you go back and you spend your gold and then you try it again. Like that's the whole point, right? That's the whole Archon buff thing. But if you don't mess it up, you instantly win the game. It's like the most rigged coin toss of all time. win the game or win the game with 80% chance. I think I'd take that coin toss.
Clock's back in. Like you said, 30 minutes, no less. The mental disrupted, even if only for a little bit.
But Xin Zhao looks like the one who lost their bearings because looks a bit surrounded.
Find out what happens. And,
Wants that pink ward a bit too much, methinks.
The game doesn't want
Yeah, the
Pause
pause
again.
is
Who do you predict of the three of them will take the kill? I think G-Bay's taking it.
Anivia.
Anivia, yeah.
Nivea wants all of them.
G-Bay can smell blood. There might be a Vladimir on the enemy team, but G-Bay's got the bigger bloodlust.
Too easy.
And instead of
100
the
channel
Nivea
points.
getting magic resist, they've instead got armor.
Well,
Going
the
towards
sequence is
Anya.
very respectable. I can understand it. But I'm a big fan of just building resistances rather than the stopwatch. But that is okay. But yes, they have both buffs for still some good amount of time, I believe.
Big damage onto this game.
Baron is
They lost Baron actually. Yeah, they lost. So they were too slow and they lost Baron, and their Otacon is still up though. Oh, they're looking
Diving
for
this
the
tower,
fight.
the Mumu ultimate.
Yeah,
And the
huge
Volibear
Mumu
ult as
ultimate, and
well.
here comes that Otacon respawns. They actually haven't gotten anyone,
Ooh.
but they managed to get the tower.
Just.
But the Nivea ult actually just stopping them completely from doing anything else. And it's just like, if you'd just done this earlier, right, with the Otacon and the Baron buff, I feel like you're in a much better spot. But instead, the game's much slower. And you're still in a fantastic spot. The Nivea and the Kai'Sa just keep living every single interaction. As, oh, I don't like this. And I've said it so many times.
Oh, here's
I
the
just
stopwatch, though.
I just want G-Bay to take a chill pill. This is so unnecessary. Why would you do this, right? You're putting yourself at so much risk when you're doing so good a job of staying alive, of keeping the game in your control, and instead you're putting so much risk into a cheesy pick on a guy that has a pool that just completely denies you. So I've said it a lot about G-Bay and reckless tendencies, and it's really up to him to throw the game. But this is it in practice. And I hope to see him take it a little bit slow.
And the Kane here, being allowed to farm 3 quadrants, his CS lead's starting to creep.
Yeah. In that topside jungle at the moment, don't think he has a GA, but maybe he has a GA on the reset. Really doubt it though. It's probably a DD actually that he's building towards rather than a GA, but I thought that it was GA on seeing the steel sigil.
Actually, risk of being caught
they're
out here.
looking-
Oh, a Mumu Q connects.
Or the
Seraphine ultimate.
Oh, but the Seraphine ultimate doesn't hit
Short.
Mumu.
How comes the
They're not
Mumu
going to be able to
ultimate as well?
catch him. It's just going to be
Such
2
an investment
ultimates
there for
burned
nothing.
for actually nothing. That's tragic.
2 crucial teamfight ultimates, none the less.
no pull.
And there's a pool down. Doesn't end up being anything, but very scary moment. Level 17 Vladimir pull up far more often now. As I've seen this
Coming
one
on the
before.
Xin Zhao, great
Xin Zhao
wall.
just immediately found and
Totally
murdered.
caught.
As
Kane
Big Glider
going
looking
in for
for
more.
this. Aphelios also looking for it. Volibear on the flank, not messing around. No flash on this Aphelios, and that's got to be game. As there's Vladimir moving forward, trying to make something work here, but is there really anything to be found? Actually, Vladimir's found the minion wave is what he's found. They're not protecting the minions, and so we'll just take all of those out, and they're just going to go towards the bottom wave instead. And so Vladimir has that flank as well. Volibear needs to get up in Vladimir's face, stop this,
catching
but
him.
no flash on Vladimir means that
Ultimate.
a Nivea flash is enough. And Pig Glider actually dies. It's just Pig Glider going forward while Volibear is not paying attention to the Vladimir. And now this Vladimir has pool again. It's a very messy fight. They just need to play together here if they want to close it out. As they're actually just going to take the retreat off of 2 inhibitors. And
Ooh.
seems conclusive finish there, but just very messily done. Instead of a clean finish, it's a messy continuation.
They might end up
Weenie Hut Jr.
giving
is
us a
looking for
soul.
this dragon.
It would be Soul for Weenie Hut Juniors if they can't get there to stop him in time. They might not.
And it should die pretty
Looks like
quickly. They
traded
don't
for the
have.
Baron instead with that TP top.
Yeah, it's an ambitious call, but it's something I can appreciate. 2 inhibitors down, Baron Buff's going to be really hard to defend against, but honestly, I'm getting a little scared. It should be way easier than this for TT to close out, especially with some of the situations they've been given, but they keep fumbling them, and we've seen it with the penultimate Prodigies, right? You die, you make a mistake 36 minutes in, and it's looking so good until it's not. As actually, speaking of, there's a Vladimir who's a little bit caught out by this Kane. But we'll just Kane will just read the ultimate. And instead, Pethy's trying to make it a montage, and instead it's exactly what I feared. You make a few mistakes, it's just a bit too awkward, and suddenly the game's not looking so hot no more. And this Vladimir's bossing on them. He's just wasting their time. He's going to get W back up, but maybe not enough to save his life. And Xin Zhao, I said it before, I've seen a lot of people just randomly walk up to people that are dead and die, and we can add 2 more to the equation. Xin Zhao and Seraphine try and get their Vladimir out, but that was not your job. That guy wanted to die, and so now you've got 3 dead members. You still have Kaiser and Anivia up. Actually, there's an Anivia killing the Aphelios, and Aphelios either didn't have flash for like 2 seconds or chose not to flash, and it's just an ace. And despite having all of these crushing situations, they instead just stumble into the kills, and that's enough to seal it out. T2 2-1 for the series. Justice for Laquan. I don't know what this means.
Justice for Laquan. I believe that means that Weenie Hut Jr. is locked out Laquan's team by beating them in the quarters.
No, didn't T2 beat them? That already happened.
Perhaps.
T2 is the one who beat them, so I don't know what this Justice for Laquan stuff is.
Perhaps they're carrying the spirit of Laquan with them.
Either way, T2 carve out a victory that seemed a little bit scary from game 1. Definitely quite crushing, but as I said, I think the draft adaptations went hard here. Great adaptation for game 2, and they stuck to their guns for game 3, and I feel like the same could not be said for Weenie Hut Juniors. It felt like they were stuck in a rut. They had one way they wanted to do things, and they couldn't find the adaptation to find it once Kale was gone, once Jinx was gone. They were kind of unsure of where they really wanted to go.
Absolutely. We've had a call here from G-Bay and from Mitch for a post-game breakdown. And welcome to the call, gentlemen.
Jesus.
Tell us. From the first game, we didn't get the whole picture. We joined about 15 minutes in. It was looking somewhat dire for you guys. Mm-hmm. Looked like Weenie Hut Jr. really had a handle on the situation. Tell us. Well, how did your philosophy change going into game 2? Well, what was it you think that let you flip the script?
Okay, fair enough. Alright, so in game 1, we went 5-0 early game. And then Acrimonious was legit faker. He was 1v9. He flashed every single Aniol, and he just dodged every single spell, and we could not kill the fucker.
Okay. Official stream, by the way.
Oh, sorry. All right. Sorry. Pardon me.
The freaker.
The freaker. He was legit 1v9. So we had to pivot to front to back and make sure. And then the grief is in the front, kill him, and then kill Acrimonious afterwards, and we win the game.
If our ADC has the capability to just output damage outright, putting me on Wukong isn't great. It's good for the front line, but if I get bursted, we just do nothing. If G-Bay's on Annie, he's kind of playing for his life, but we sort of found out that they were being untouched in those fights.
Yeah, we couldn't touch the backline as a burst mage Annie.
And it went both ways.
Yep. So it was still looking. The games went kind of long. They were pretty in your favor. It felt like you had control, but How were you feeling with the games going long? There were some dicey moments, some chaotic fights.
Honestly, we're pretty chill throughout the game.
Yep.
We knew we could eventually find a griefer, and we did. We just kept killing people free on the map.
Yeah. The Anivia locked away and not your hottest pick for a lot of the regular season, right? Even when it was up, sometimes you'd index into something else like the Casio or the like, because it wasn't forming. So are you going to bring it out in the finals as well? Is this a warning?
It depends on the enemy team comp, honestly. And if I'm honestly really looking forward to a Karthus game, personally.
Yeah.
I've not
Me
been able to
too.
play Karthus the entire tournament, so really fingers crossed.
Will there be a deal brokered for Karthus in the finals?
Pig.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm the money man. Okay,
Yeah, he's the money man.
I'll see what I can master together for you. Maybe I might broker a deal. Maybe we'll,
Handshake side
see.
select for.
one single Karthus game.
Yes. Okay, how about you, Pick Bucket? Because you mentioned a little bit about the Wukong, but similar to G-Bait, game 2-3, you went onto the Kane, and it seemed to do wonders. Tell me about it.
Yeah, look, game one was a bit of an analysis of just I'm playing like absolute dog water at the current moment. So what needed to change was I needed to put myself back onto a jungler that I felt comfortable on. I can sort of play a lot more around the rel pick, diving into their backline if I need to, or staying in the front line. I don't have a preference. Wherever I need to be, I can be. Picking the Wukong, I'm sort of in one position and then have one opportunity to reposition myself, and after that, it's over. I have to fight. So, listening to Jibe, he's very well. How do I phrase this correctly without making him sound like he's with the dictator? We listen to Jibe and we don't ask questions.
Your glorious leader.
So, but it works. He's definitely a very, very strong mental leader, and keeping us conformed and sort of drafting around our comps. We become unanimous as a team, hence T2, Team 2. We fight together, we die together, we lose games together, it's not one individual solo carrying the game. We have the capability of just, pushing ourselves to our limits, and that was the sake of the Kane pick, is pushing myself to my extreme and putting myself on a comfort pick. Game 2 was amazing. I had a fantastic game 2, and if anybody brings up the Atakan clip,
Cool.
I
Might be submitting that one for best clip.
That was a miscalculation. I was one item, one component. I should have reset before doing it, but that was my bad. Game 3 was a lot less so. I was making a couple of mistakes. The fatigue starting to get to me. Obviously, working a 9 till 5 job and then coming home and playing 4 hours of League of Legends, or 2.5, 3 hours. It's not fun. It's not great. So.
We actually lost every single game when we had to play on a weekday during the first 9 weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
You like that?
You're locked into the finals, obviously, and unlike our previous interviewees, you know that you will be versing DUI. So, what are you thinking? Obviously, we've got Karthus lined up for the middle lane and some Anivia, as we've discussed. But how about some jungle? What's the spicy picks for the finals in order to get that victory?
That's a secret.
I think we're thinking about the Ivern and the
Twitch is up
and
there. That's a good
the Twitch, yeah, and the Bard.
Yeah.
I reckon the Bard goes card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
No, we're keeping our cards a little bit close to our chest. There is a few picks that I've been
Fair enough.
sort of hiding.
In general, how do you feel about you matching up into DUI?
I mean, it was unfortunate what happened to them. They had a little bit of a roster change, but it seems like they've kept their spirit together, and massive hats off to them. Big respect on their name, and we console with them, and
I genuinely think that my team has improved a lot. Prince really stepped up, and just started playing side, doing really good in the solo lane, and I was just able to just play off of him.
The
making
Aurelia
this
going
really easy.
crazy game 1 and 2 in
Absolutely,
particular,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
The Volibear also putting in work this game. Not as impressive, I think, as the Aurelia, but certainly there's more of that champion pool to fear than before, right? I think there's still the Alawi and the Nasus we've seen before. This type of stuff that can be pulled out. So for sure, Prince pulling in so much effort.
And also Van has just been smurfing teamfights.
I can't give Van enough credit where, you know, there's not enough words in the Oxford Dictionary to describe how, like, proud and amazed, like, just as a team collectively we are of Van. Like, from going to being, from being our, you know, low elo player, in quotations, she's outshining, you know, the likes of, you know, the entirety of our team, making Mello look like a bronze ADC, G-Bay look like a silver mid laner, you know?
And pick specifically.
Yeah, just me.
Would you two also, as Drunk Ultra Instinct felt, would you Iron Mentality Grandmaster, Iron Mental Grandmaster Mentality?
Hang on, rephrase that question.
I think we're all challenger at heart.
Speak for yourself. The hell?
Pig has some demons inside of him, but we won't talk about that.
Yeah, they're both kissing.
Thanks for the talk, lads. It'll be great to see you in the finals. I do hope you get a Karthus game. I do hope that we can see some of the spicy picks that you're clamming up. Even more of the Prince Aurelia and this type of thing. And congratulations on the win today. Bring it back from the first game loss. Always can be tough, but excellent work.
Thank you.
T2's never lost a game 3. I'll leave it at that.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
No worries. Thank you.
GG, well played.
I do believe that is all the games for tonight. So finals is scheduled for the Sunday, and it should be a banger with T2 and DUI. It'll be interesting to see if we can really knock some sense into DUI. I feel like they've been, for the most part, pretty untouched. It mentioned that Tofu had been one of the people to knock them down in the regular season, but obviously they've conquered that hurdle. So now, can Tutu mix it up, take them down, or will they just sail pretty comfortably into the first place slot?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, T2 might win every game 3, but how exactly is that going to shape up when it's a best of 5 series?
Yeah. Either way, thank you everyone for joining. Any last words, my fellow co-casters?
Just like to say what a privilege it always is to sit here at the caster's desk with the incredible analytical talents that are Moyman and Ro themselves. So truly, the people at home, if they have any congratulations, should be to the two gentlemen sitting next to me in spirit, not in physical location.
Maybe for the finals.
Holy, I'll book my
the
ticket.
finals were flying Ro out.
Holy, the budget going crazy on this one.
Yeah.
Spending the prize
Sorry,
money.
guys, price is cancelled.
All right. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining. We'll see you for the finals. Until then.
Thank you. Justice for Stankelgreeb.